as we get set to start the summit. A very good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and a very warm welcome to the Global Financial Planners Summit. This summit marks an important date on the global financial calendar. Every year, the first Wednesday of October, the world unites to celebrate World Financial Planning Day, an occasion dedicated to raising and celebrating awareness around finance and empowering individuals to chart a prosperous financial future. This year, One Finance joins the global community in commemorating this day and celebrating all of you. This summit is special for various reasons. One, it is invite only. Special for it has brought together some of the brightest minds from the world of financial planning. During the course of the day, we shall look at the evolving landscape of financial planning, advisory services in India, and engage in dialogues with industry experts on opportunities and challenges ahead. Our aim is also to stand together as a community and open avenues of collaboration, synergies, and interaction. Without further ado, may I invite Anuj Mehta, Head Partner Success at One Finance, for the opening address.
All right, very good morning to everybody sitting in this room. It is a beautiful morning, isn't it? And it should be a beautiful morning. We have a room full of financial planners celebrating the spirit of financial planning in India. And, you know, all of you people sitting in this room. So I personally relate the profession of financial planning very close to the profession of a doctor. Because what drives a doctor? A doctor is living to save people's lives. That's what drives a doctor, but for a financial planner, what drives them is making people's lives and livelihoods. And when that happens, you know, it makes it a beautiful profession. Financial planning is a beautiful profession, and let me tell you about it, because it is one of those very few professions where the lifetime value of a customer is absolutely high. You can build a legacy business that could be passed on to your next generations. And the kind of satisfaction and motivation one feels when you see the smile on your client's face when they achieve life milestones, when they don't have to worry about their financial situations, you know, or any dreams that they would have, you know, is absolutely unparalleled. On the 4th of October this year, but the first Wednesday of every year is celebrated as the World Financial Planning Day. However, in India, what's the reality? We celebrate Investors Day, we celebrate investors, we celebrate people who offer products, we celebrate returns, but where is financial planning? I'm sorry, I forgot my slide changer, but yeah, but like I was mentioning, we speak about investors, we speak about products, we speak about returns, we speak about markets, but what about financial planning? Right? Because In India, the sad reality is that financial planning is investment planning. No matter what, everybody, whenever you talk about financial planning, is talking about, okay, kitna return milega, kitna paisa dale, these are my goals, how can you help me achieve these goals, kitne ka SIP kariye. But what about the other aspects of financial planning, such as liability management? Liability is such a big reality in India. What about estate and will planning? When you ask somebody, when is the right age to make a will? People will be like, maybe 50, maybe 60, maybe 70, maybe when you retire. But honestly, the right time to make a will is when you have a sizable amount of assets and a preference of how would you like to distribute these assets, right? But how many people in India are talking about it? So all of us sitting here in this room, we understand this, we address this, and that is where, One Finance came into this situation where we realized that we genuinely want to celebrate the spirit of financial planning, like how globally every other country does, bring it to India and appreciate every financial planner, the hard work that they put in. But when we speak about financial planning, or investment planning, for that matter, there are a lot of people in India who are getting included in the financial industry, who are getting exposed to financial products out of will, out of intent, right? So when you look at the size of the opportunity, some number on your screens, I'm sure these numbers are not new for each one of you. All of you are already aware about these numbers, much better than I am. But the idea is, when you look at more than 60 crore people having PAN cards, more than 11 crore DMAT accounts, more than 6 crore people actually filing taxes. And we've seen this number grow exponentially in the last couple of years, and we can expect it to grow more exponentially in the coming years, which is simply trying to tell us that the expectation of the people in India is only increasing when it comes to creating wealth, when it comes to participating in products, in services, in advisory that helps them grow their wealth. It's no longer restricted to only the HNI, or the people who have wealth. But when we look at these numbers and when we feel excited and proud about the incoming of, clients and demands and, people participating in financial products, there are also, the demographics of the country that we need to explore and what the future looks like. So that was the present. Where are we going ahead? It's expected. So when we started building One Finance, we had a firm called Frost & Sullivan, who helped us conduct a research study in India. Frost & Sullivan is a global research and a consultancy firm. And they did a primary research study on two aspects. One's the challenges experienced by customers in India, people who consume financial services, and the other, the challenges faced by the people who offer financial services. Some of the numbers that you see are from the primary research study, as well as some secondary sources that are available. More than 60% of the Indian demographic in the next 10 years is going to belong to middle net worth segment. Now, at One Finance, we define middle net worth as an individual who has a minimum financial exposure of somewhere between 30-40 lakhs. And that's an exposure, not a net worth. So they could be exposed to assets, liabilities, right? And a net worth of northwards of 5, 7, 8 crores. Now that segment, if you realize, they are educated, they're well aware, most of them belonging to the generation 2 of their family, right? Where they're not expected to provide for the livelihood of their family and the basic necessities, and can actually focus on, creating some wealth for the families. Of course, they're aware, they're exposed to information. Most of these people are understanding what they need when it comes to finance, right? This number is only going to increase. 60% of the Indian population is going to belong to middle net worth individuals. As a country, we are going to be the youngest, as per age globally. The majority of our population is going to belong to the age group of 25 to 55, which means the most employable population in the entire country. And why not, right? You look at countries like Canada, UK, Japan, Ireland. Most of these countries are desperate to have skilled people go into their countries. Why are these PR programs coming up? You go to Japan, your education is sponsored, you get a work permit, you go to, any European country or a Nordic country, recreating, reproducing human beings, right? If you give birth to a baby in that country, the government sponsors all the costs related to that because they need young people coming there. India has got that opportunity, and we see so many initiatives being taken by the ministry and the government, Make in India, Startup India. We're moving from a labor-oriented country to a skill-oriented country where people are no longer restricted to just BPO, KPO services. People are genuinely moving into managerial roles. Most of the global financial institutions, my friends, Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, HSBC, they're all moving their strategic offices from cities like London, Hong Kong, New York, to cities like Bangalore, Warsaw, and Poland. So Goldman has a setup in Bangalore which can host 10,000 people in their setup, and they also have majority functions as managing directors living out of Bangalore. We're seeing that shift, which means there are going to be opportunities available for these people to participate in opportunities that helps them earn money, helps them earn good amount of money, and they're all going to be educated, well aware. So try and connect the dots, right? But what happens, right? These people, when they start participating in finances, the biggest problem today is that all their finances are scattered. So through this research study that we realized, more than 60% of the individuals had challenges with their finances because their finances were scattered. That means you will have multiple bank accounts, multiple demat accounts, multiple credit cards, right? Now, on an average, you're dealing with at least 8 to 10 different financial institutions. You do not have one view to have a segregated and consolidated information about all your financials, which, of course, we're going to talk about account aggregator later during the day, but that's a problem today. Now, when you don't have control over your finances and you are surrounded by information, so financial literacy, I believe, is not a problem today. That was a problem for us 10 years ago. People have access to financial information. Of course, right information, wrong information is something, that we still can debate on. But excessive information is available. Now, that's a problem, right? Because for a professional, let's say me, if I go home, my papa, chacha, fufa have a advice for me, right? Kare beta real estate mein dalo paisa, sona kharido, right? When I go into my office, my colleagues are like, oh, Elon Musk just tweeted yesterday, to the moon, buy some crypto. Just rephrasing, no personal, just personal thoughts. You're speaking to one of your friends or colleagues, they're like, oh, I got an ad on Instagram, P2P, great returns, invest money, maine kar diya. Now, the problem is I'm listening to everybody and I'm putting in money. Who are these everybody? Basically, people I trust, my social circle, because money is a big taboo in India, right? So it becomes difficult to trust an individual. So if you don't have a guided, qualified source, you end up trusting people who are in your social circle. Now, the people in your social circle do not have the wrong intentions for you, of course not. But when it comes to your personal finance and when it is to be considered holistically, it needs to be taken from a qualified person. And when not taken from a qualified person, there are chances that the decision that is taken may not work in your favor. So now as an individual, I have multiple bank accounts, multiple credit cards. I have excessive information. I'm trusting my papa, chacha, fufa, dost, bhai, my wife, everybody, right? And I'm making financial decisions. They may not be working for me. When it's not working for me, it's going to impact me mentally. I'm going to be stressed. I'm going to be anxious. I'm not going to perform at work if I'm a salaried employee. I'm not going to have the morale required to work well. When that happens, it causes a lot of problems in one's lives. Globally, my friends, you won't believe, after cheating and infidelity, finance is the biggest reason for divorces happening. More than 40% of the divorces that happen globally is because of mismanagement of finance and not understanding each other's personality towards finance. So these problems exist for a middle net worth of our country today. And like I was mentioning before, this population, this volume is only going to increase, right? Like I was mentioning, more than 60% of the Indian population is going to be middle net worth. We're going to have more than, majority of our population in the young age group of our country, our demographic. Another challenge, that we keep talking about is retirement. Now, we're going to see 30 crore people retire in the next 10 to 15 years, and that is not a small number. And we are not a country like the US or any other European countries where services for senior citizens and retired people is good. You can still survive and have a decent life. In India, we're still far away from that, and also because of the sheer size of our population. But we don't realize the quantum of this problem. You travel to any Asian country, Singapore, Malaysia, Vietnam, anywhere, you look at public places, you will notice most of the servers and the staff there are senior citizens. because they're going through that problem today. Retirement is a very big problem, and the generation today, now this is another problem. All of us in the country want to retire at 40. Early retirement, FIRE, financially independent retirement. It's a great dream to have, but are we working towards it? You want to retire at 40 and the life expectancy is increasing. More than half of the people sitting in this room, I'm sure, are wearing a smartwatch. I'm wearing a smartwatch. How many of you count the number of steps that you take in a day? Show of hands. That's quite a good size. How many of you are seeing how much water do you drink? Drink water. Reminders. There were apps, by the way, they used to remind you at a set frequency. The idea, that the point that I'm trying to convey is, consciously, we're all trying to be healthy. Consciously, we're all being very preferential about what we consume as food, what kind of activities do we engage in. Every second month we try and quit tobacco, it goes for a week, the third week we're back at it, it keeps happening, it's a loop. The point is, we're consciously trying to be healthy. We all are getting health insurances done, and the medical science is, growing at a rocket speed. My sister is into, biomedicine, and when I hear from her the kind of research that the countries like US are doing in terms of helping save people's lives is, mind-blowing. What I'm trying to say is, if it is not for a natural cause, we will not die early. Life expectancy is going to just increase, which means the portion of your retirement, after your retirement, your retired life, is a high possibility of having an equivalent portion of your working life, which means planning for your retirement is absolutely important. How many people in India are talking about it? How many people in India are also working towards it? Of course, these conversations is not new to people like you and us in this room. We all understand this, we all realize this, and the industry also realizes it. You won't believe, more than $5 billion worth of investments happened just in Indian fintech startups in just 1 year, the last financial year, 21-22, which means they see a massive potential. They see maybe a lot of problems that needs solutions, maybe with the help of technology, maybe with the help of service, maybe with the help of products, but it's happening, which means there's a huge potential. And that is where all of us here in this room gather today to understand what are these opportunities, what are these solutions, and where can we play a role in order to grow ourselves. The idea is, now we've understood the demand, we've understood a massive demand that's going to come in that are going to require qualified advisors, financial planners, basically financial service providers, people who can genuinely guide these people in taking the right financial decisions. But if you look at the numbers in India today, and these are the numbers which are, people holding active licenses, not in total. Of course, we have to look at how the regulator is accepting, the inclusion of these certificates, right? When you look at any certificate around financial planning, it could be a CFP, CWM, there are some private courses like QPFP, a lot of courses that SEBI recognizes. We have less than, 10 to 15,000 people across the country who are qualified, holding an active license to offer holistic financial planning services, and I'm not talking about investment planning here, right? Of course, we have 1.5 lakh ARN holders in India, which we've seen as an industry grow beautifully, right? When we talk about the mutual fund industry, or insurance for that matter, right? But when you talk about holistic financial planning, this is a problem. Compare ourselves to a country like US. For 1/4 the size of our population, or maybe even less, we're almost reaching 150 crore. They have more than 90,000 CFPs, just CFPs, and I'm not even counting the other certificates. I mean, if we were to look at it, 1.5 lakh log to unke khali financial planning and wealth management industry mein log aa jate hain, for 1/4 the size of the population. There are companies like Edward Jones, Zoe Financials, Facet Wealth. Edward Jones is a 100-year-old financial planning company, and they purely run on a partner model. They have CFPs who are registered with them as partners. They bring in big ticket clients, and the clients take financial planning services from their partners. They're so big today that in 100 years, they're running their own fund, their own AMC, and they're managing $1 trillion worth of AUM under their own fund, which is most of it into index. Which means there's a huge potential that we see for our country. 4 times the population of US, right? Why not? I'd just like to end this note on one aspect, that a lot of conversations happens around, ठीक है तो role क्या है, कौन क्या करता है, कैसे करेंगे, क्या है, there's a lot of ambiguity around, what will exist, what will not exist, what will get evolved into what. We believe, and I personally believe, there is going to be a space for each and every person written on the screen. We will require financial product manufacturers. If you look at developed countries and you look at the kind of products that they have, we're nowhere close to them. And when this population is going to increase from here, they're going to need more exotic products. They're going to need more, non-vanilla products to get exposed to, which means we'll need more manufacturers of products. We have less than or close to 500 actuaries in India. And there's huge potential, right? If you look at the potential of customers who need exposure to a product like insurance, we need more insurance manufacturers, right? We need more actuarial sciences in India. We need more CFPs in India. So there is going to be product manufacturers, a role is going to exist. We will always need product distributors because we will require services, platforms, individuals who can help people get access to the right product through the right operational process and medium. We will, of course, need financial advisors, people who bring in the holistic perspective of financial planning, of the decisions that you can take when it comes to your assets, when it comes to your liabilities, when it comes to your taxation, estate and will planning, maybe if you want to achieve some milestones of your life, some dreams, maybe a home, maybe a car, maybe planning education for your children, maybe planning the wedding for your children, or if not, just your fire dream, right? Everybody wants to retire early. And we will need financial educators as well, because literacy exists, but the right information also is important. So education for the existing community of advisors, as well as for the people to come into this community as professionals, and education for the customers as well. So these roles will have to coexist, they will complement each other, and there is a space for each and every one of them. That is where, we come into the picture. One Finance is into personal finance planning and advisory. We started off on a note where we realized that the middle net worth population of India, they do not have access to getting the right financial information, the right financial knowledge, access to the right financial products in the right sense, understanding it from a holistic aspect point of view. And we've seen some research points earlier. So One Finance is a personal finance institution. We're focused on offering peace of mind. So we're not a fintech company. We are not a wealth management company. We're not a platform company. We're not into, offering technology or, services to individuals. We are simply into the business of offering peace of mind to our customers and building an ecosystem around it. So whatever it takes to help the customers take the right financial decision from a holistic perspective is what we're building towards. It's a privately backed institution. We're a bootstrapped organization. We're backed by the Marwadi Chandarana Group. It's a business group based out of Gujarat in Rajkot. They're into multiple businesses. They're into financial services, one of the largest broking houses in India. It turns 30 years this year. We're into education. We run a university in Rajkot. It's called Marwadi University. We have about more than 13,000 students at the university studying today. We're into renewable energy, so we manufacture solar panels. We distribute them, nationally and outside. And, that's the group that's backing One Finance. So it's a completely professionally run organization. We're based out of Bombay. We run on a model where we help people improve their financials. We have qualified people who partner with us and help us review and consult our clients. And the responsibility lies with us. So we onboard the clients and we offer a holistic financial plan to the customer. So in short, we're into the business of financial well-being and peace of mind. On that note, I wouldn't take a lot of time. I don't want to, take away credit of every other, speaker that's present here today. We have a great lineup. We also have Mugdha with us. Mugdha, thank you so much for doing this. She will take you all through the flow. That's what I had, and I hope all of you have a good time. Some valuable insights for each one of you to take back after this event. But always remember and keep in mind, into financial planning, everybody's doing a great work. It's a very good profession to be in, and it's going to be the profession of tomorrow. So kudos to you on that. And 4th October being the World Financial Planning Day, this room being full of financial planners and celebrating the spirit of financial planning, I would request, if not for the person sitting next to you, at least for yourself, a huge round of applause for doing what you people do. Helping people achieve their dreams, financial well-being. Continue to do that. Thank you very much. Mugdha, over to you.
stage is getting set for the first panel. Just a few announcements. He has done a great job of putting everything that we are going to be discussing through the course of day very succinctly, and we are now all set for the first panel of the day. The first panel of the day is called Demystifying Financial Planning and Advisory Landscape in India, and we hope to talk about challenges. We hope to talk about collaborative efforts, synergies. Where are we? What is the kind of awareness? What is the regulatory framework, etc., etc. So put your hands together for the first panel of the day. Are we all set? We need only 5 mics. All right, put your hands together for Vivek Rege, founder and CEO, VR Health Advisors and chairperson, ARIA, an investment advisor for over 20 years. Vivek is the founder, director, and chairperson of ARIA, Association of Registered Investment and Advisors, and has recently been appointed by SEBI on the Intermediary Advisory Committee. Vivek. Put your hands together for Kirtan Shah, co-founder and CEO, Financial Planning Academy, EduTech and Credence Wealth. As a formal executive director with a BSE-listed NBFC, Kirtan brings deep insight to banking and treasury management. Gentlemen, you can take your seat. Kirtan is already here. Vivek is here. Shinjini is our next panelist. Shinjini Kumar, co-founder, SaltApp, a woman-first fintech platform to track, save, and invest. She is known in the Indian financial system for her deep understanding and experience of regulations as well as managing wealth and business. Her transition from regulator to large financial institutions and new age fintech startups gives her a well-rounded perspective on finance. Welcome, Shinjini. Pushkar Chugh, Director Standards and Certifications at FPSB India, has about 35 years of financial services experience, has been with FPSB India for over 15 years, maintaining standards of CFP exams, implementing global standards and policies in certification activity. And Sharan Hegde, founder and CEO, the 1% Club, an exclusive community and academy empowering individuals to make informed financial decisions, recognized in the Forbes 30 Under 30 Asia list, and an influential authority in the realm of finance and content creator with 4.5 million followers across platforms. All right, that's my stellar panel for the day. So let me start with the opening comments. Kirtan, if I may start with you, where do you put the level of awareness around financial planning on a scale of 1 to 10?
I think I'll take some cue from what Anuj was saying. Unfortunately, in India, financial planning is investment planning. And I keep writing about it on social media a lot. Today in India, I think if you leave this room and move outside, you meet 10 people, 9 are underinsured or have no insurance. Most of us outside this room are probably one incident, medical incident away from bankruptcy. I think that's the level of financial literacy in India. While, yes, Anuj did mention there is so much of content available for people to view, but I think if there is only 5% of India that is invested in capital markets, I would say there is 1% of India which really has equivalent required term insurance, and I would say there is 0.01% of India which has a will if we have to consider all of these things. So I think unfortunately, fortunately, there is a lot of content available, but that content is again only around investment planning.
Right.
And I think all of us together will have to make efforts to make India understand that financial planning is not investment planning, and it is way beyond that.
Great start, and also a start where we are already looking at challenges. Shinjini, if I may get you in. The first thing I noticed is I'm squares and you're circles. So I'm squares and you're circles today.
Oh, yeah. Same sari.
So my question to you is, what are some of the challenges when it comes to understanding financial planning or having any kind of awareness about it? And as Kirtan already said, that on the scale, if we were to mark it, would it be around 5 or less than 5?
Less than 5, I would
Less
say.
than 5?
How about you?
Yeah.
Yeah, less than
Just take a number from everyone, right?
Yeah, I think I should. All right. Yes, let's go with you first.
I think it's somewhere close to 2 or 3.
2 or 3.
And the reason being, like Kirtan said, most people do not understand what financial planning actually is.
Right.
For most people, it means, hey, you take my money, manage it, and make it grow by 15% returns, do this trading here and there. And the expectations of people for financial planning is so high that they don't really understand what it actually is. They will compare you, like let's say I am a financial planner and somebody hires me and I manage their money. Now, they will compare what I do with their friends. And their friends are telling them some cock and bull story about how much money they made in some trading or that particular stock. So the expectation management is very hard. The real definition of financial planning is, maybe if I had to draw a parallel, it's like what a fitness coach does in a gym, right? You can see all the equipments in front of you, but you still hire a fitness coach to kind of keep you disciplined, to keep you on track and all of that. But the problem is people are not willing to pay for that when it comes to financial planning. They're only asking, how much money will you make for me? And based on that, I will pay you money, right? So because of this gap in understanding, I would say the awareness of financial planning or the importance of financial planning is close to 2 or 3 in India.
2 or 3.
And if you compare that with the US, I mean, if you look at the prevalence of fixed fee financial planners, if I had to look at the number, I think around 60% in US, 60% of wealth management income is through fixed fee planners. In India, that's like very close to like 10 or 20%. So that itself should tell us a lot about the awareness of financial planning.
Shinjini, what are the major challenges or roadblocks in the narrative where financial planning should be available for all and should be part of everybody's life plan?
So first of all, thank you. It's a pleasure being here. I'm going to start out with, so I studied in the US a very long time ago, 1998, 2000. And one day I went and bought a skipping rope. And the skipping rope was a $2 thing, but it came with a very long instruction, which had multiple things that you could do with it or you could not do with it, one of which said, don't put it around your neck. So basically, what Sharan said reminded me of this story, because what they did in America, for example, because what ends up happening is that the government, even though they also have a big government, right? And they come and they create, these infrastructure for you that somehow allows you to survive without you having to do too many things. So, for example, the 401k happened at that time, or for independent working professionals. So, or the whole passive movement happened. So, if you put your money into this thing, then something will happen. So they have kind of taken care of it. And in India, I think mutual funds has had a similar impact in terms of getting a lot of people involved into doing something. As long as people don't understand what a SIP is. I've just done like a massive travel and survey. And people say, you ask them, do you invest in mutual funds? And they say, nahi, hum SIP karte hain. So that's how it is, right? But at least that thing, that SIP, is giving them something which someday when they need the money, they'll come back to it. And the other thing for us, obviously, is gold, right? Because there's been this whole, everybody grows up with stories of how grandmother took out gold when grandfather was in a crisis, and so that hoarding of that gold thing continues, right? So we do have these, cultural nuances to how we will grow into this economy of being every number that you just heard. And the thing that, so all of us are products of our culture, right? And India is not one culture. It's a very large country. It's a subcontinent by itself. So, but the very predominant ethos of a large part of this country is, कि उतनी लंबी पैर फैलाओ जितनी चादर हो, समथिंग लाइक दैट, राइट? वो बचपन से सिखाया जाता है. तो लोग क्या करते हैं, दे लर्न टू एक्चुअली कट आउट देयर लाइफस्टाइल्स अकॉर्डिंग टू द मनी दैट दे प्रेजेंटली मेक. So the aspect of planning essentially envisions a certain amount of ambition about your life and a certain amount of, I have to get from X point to Y point. Now, the way we are brought up and the way we grow up, very few people. So culturally, there are communities here which have that clarity. Because so I have this friend who's a Gujarati and she went to Bihar when she was young. And she says, I found it amazing that nobody used to play the game of business. I mean, this was pre-digital era, play Monopoly. And she thought it was amazing because here everybody was playing that. So I think as a large part of our country's population is brought up with these fundamental beliefs that I have to limit my desires, that I have to, and of course it's changing and there is a generational, and that's why it's very important for us to know that we are living in a country with a young population and there is a whole lot of shift in the culture. Now to answer your question, what does that mean in terms of the financial infrastructure that's getting created? It is quite likely, and I can talk about it later, but it is quite likely that we will have, like in everything else, like in payments, like in other things, we tend to leapfrog a little bit because we suddenly have this dynamic of young population, digital infrastructure, people like Sharan educating. So we will probably not have it in the same way that we saw it getting built in the West, right. But we will have something interesting that will happen and we can talk about it as well.
Right. When we are talking about financial awareness, awareness for financial planning, also talking about how we should have financial planners look into the industry and advise. But when we look at the supply and demand, Vivek, do you think we have enough financial planners, advisors to meet this demand?
So let me take a step back. That number which you wanted, for me, it is 0.5. It is not even 1. The reason being is that, the way I look at it, as planners we deal with and when we meet clients and prospects, there are two sets of people whom we meet. Problem of scarcity or problem of plenty. That's all. Okay, people whom we meet are either having scarcity in mind because they have wants, not needs. And there is a scarcity when you are going through a set of goals, etc. Okay, those are kind of real things, but at the same time, the wants are so large enough that they can't. So there is a scarcity. You might have a Merc, but still have a scarcity. Okay. And there is a problem of plenty because there is so much of money around that they are confused what to do with it. Right. I have never seen somebody who has a great clarity on this planning process. Financial planning is a process. Nobody has any clarity about it. And therefore, it often gets equated with investment.
Right.
And when I see that, I am often, I often think that there is a long way to go from this point of, time. So when you ask me that whether we have enough advisors, I think the question probably I would ask myself is that today, as we sit this second, very second, we need 1 million advisors today, at this very second. Today. This is the demand the country has. Absolutely. At this very second, there is a demand which is getting converted into something, getting into unqualified hands, okay, and getting misled. At this very second, I am worried that at this very second, we don't have 1 million of advisors who are qualified, okay, and therefore, as we move forward, and as the financial literacy grows, the challenge is going to be bigger and bigger. Because we have to catch up. The run rate is going to be higher, okay? So I would like to place my thoughts here, okay, that my number is 0.5 and we need 1 million advisors this very second and we don't have them. And that's a problem we need to solve.
It's a huge number to chase as well. Pushkar, if I may get you in, what would your, on a scale of 1 to 10, Pushkar, where would you place both the financial planners now and, of course, the customers as well? Also, as Vivek said, that investment planning is taken to be as financial planning, but even investment planning, अगर आप केवल investment planning के बारे में भी सोच रहे हैं तो वो आपकी टैक्स के हिसाब से अलग होगी, आपके रिटायरमेंट के हिसाब से अलग होगी, आपकी लाइफ के गोल्स के हिसाब से अलग होगी, बच्चों को भेजना है उसके हिसाब से अलग होगी, इमरजेंसी फंड बनाना है उसके हिसाब से अलग होगी. It has to, so the financial planner has to come with EQ as well, if they have to sit. So on both the sides, do you think we have enough and more people? And then I want to come to you for the regulation part of it.
Thank you, Mugdha. Thank you for having me all. Mugdha, I have a misconception that I'm good at numbers. So being the last speaker, I will put everything in perspective. When I say existence of financial planning, it's 10 out of 10. Okay? When you say it's how it is talked about, it's close to 6.5. We talked about financial planning all the way. I agree with Sharon. When it is how much it is accepted, understood, it is under 3. You can say 2.5.
Right.
Why? Because financial planning has been there for ages. Is at the doorstep of Indian financial consumer. Just waiting at the doorstep, knocking gently. May I come in? If you need any help, so gentle. Sometimes we're screaming desperately. I know you need my help. May I come in to help you? No, it's only now that people are just warming up to the need of financial planning. It's a professional service. I agree with Anuj when he said that I think that number was 60%.
Anuj, was it 60%? Yeah, for the middle net worth?
Okay. So the thing is that financial planning today is accepted because people have different needs and preferences now.
Right.
Everything has changed. People want to achieve a lot more in a lot less time. We have understood that 40 years retirement is a good thing. And things have become complex, very complex. Lifespan has increased. So many things, and people have limited resources because of lifestyle has changed. So there's a requirement that people should approach financial planners, a professional service. I agree very much with Vivek Rege when he said that financial planning is a process. It's a process to empower clients to manage their financial resources. It's not like any transactional service that I will be there to manage money for you. I'm empowering you. I agree with Anuj when he said that people, it's like 60, I'm not just going in numbers. He said that financial planners are financial doctors. I would just take permission from Anuj and go a step further. Financial planners are there to empower you. They are running with you, physically fit.
Mike a little.
They are there, diet charts, they are with you. So they are empowering you, they are teaching you also, and they are empowering you to teach yourself at some time. They are always at your side.
A lot of times when we talk about financial planning, and Sharon, I want to get you in there, a lot of people say, वो तो 1% club के लिए ही है. But financial planning, when we are now talking about the rest of the janta and the rest of the country, that makes the country. Today we are seeing a very woke generation. Today we are seeing people with longevity of life. Now the generation which is going, the ones that are born in the 90s and beyond are going to live 100 years is what they are saying. The 100-year life is also a PhD work of some of the London professors. Now, keeping that in mind, financial planning will come upon you. Even if you don't want to do it, it will land on your head. But this 1% club, when we talk about it, the narrative also is कि मेरे पास पैसा है तो ही मैं उसको planner को मैं involve करूँ और मुझसे बात करे. What do you think about that? And is that changing now?
Yeah, firstly, I think let me redefine what the 1% club
Yes.
actually means in what we are doing. Most people, of course, will immediately assume that, okay, the 1% club means, okay, the top HNIs, people who have at least 10 crores net worth. But if you look at what is the situation in India right now, I mean, last year, I think the number of people who filed income tax of more than 10 lakhs is 80 lakh people. Now, if barring the people who are not declaring proper income, let's assume that this is the right number, 80 lakh people declaring more than 10 lakh income, and that's 0.5% of the population. So by definition, if you're making more than 10 lakhs in India, you're in the 1% club. But that is not how we define the 1% club. It's not about how much money you make. Let me give an example. More than half of the people who won money on Kaun Banega Crorepati have become broke. So many famous football stars and basketball stars in the US who made more than $100 million during their lifetime have also ended up becoming broke. So the 1% club, the way we define is the ability to achieve financial independence, right? And we feel that less than 1% of people in the world have actually are in a position or have the knowledge or the skill set to achieve financial independence. That's the superpower to never be worried about money again. So that's how we define, and that's how we empower the people who join the club. Now coming to how important it is. Today, I think people, as they get more and more income, they start valuing their time more, right? Now, in the 1% club, we have people across all income groups. I think the average income is around 15 lakhs per annum, but more half of them make more than 25, 30 lakhs per annum. And what we are noticing is that the people who are making more than 25, 30 lakhs per annum, they're the people who are able to appreciate the importance of financial planning. Because they realize that if I'm able to save 3-4 hours of my time per week by hiring somebody else, that is worth it for me. Because my hourly rate, by working in my office and working on the job that I love, is going to make me more money than if I put that same time trying to pick stocks or doing some trading. So the maturity in understanding financial planning is much higher in that income group. Having said that, I think it is still important for people who are even making 10, 15 lakhs per annum to even hire a financial planner, because it will give them the foundations or the frameworks to understand how investment is done. Because what they're currently doing is actually making them lose money. So a financial planner who even helps a person who is making 10 or 15 lakhs per annum is sort of going to put the tapes on their leaking tank, because they're losing money by making the wrong financial decisions. And the only person that they rely on are their friends and their family, who are not giving them the right financial, advice.
I think we have a consensus on how important financial planning is and how more and more people will need it, and for that we need more financial planners also. But the sector is very disorganized. We do have investment planners, and that is mandated by the regulatory boards. But as we said, financial planning is a whole lot more. Kirtan, if I may start with you, when we talk about the number of financial planners and how that market needs to be regulated, how the training needs to be, where do you see India in that landscape? And also, do you see regulation has a role to play both negatively and positively there?
Do we have somebody from SEBI here?
Closed door.
I think
we are just live, by the way.
Okay, you all should just take my answer with a pinch of salt, because I have very strong views around this. I think largely when you talk about regulations, right, the perspective of SEBI is very different from the perspective of you and me as industry participants. SEBI says that if there is a possibility that even one investor can get duped, I want to build regulations around to make sure that that one investor also does not get hampered in either ways, right? But in my opinion, the missing element here is that we are trying to break something which is not in trouble at all. Now, what do I mean by that? Today, the kind of regulations that we see on the intermediary space, right, is I can't even quantify, but I can tell you it is 10, 15, 20, 50 times difficult than even in a developed country where you have 50% of the market investing in the capital markets versus India, only 5% people investing, right? So now on one side, we are spending so much of time, energy, conversation in trying to spread financial literacy, right? And on the other side, we are trying to narrow down the people who can actually make you reach there, right? While you want to talk about active, passive, how much literacy is there in India, I can tell you The foot soldiers sitting here across are the guys who actually spread the word and got people to invest, right? Now, if as a regulator, you want to make sure that even that one person also does not face any challenges, you are trying to build something which is not broken, right? So today, I don't see a reason why there is so much of discussion that keeps happening around what is the role of a financial planner, what is the role of an MFD, what is the role of whoever else, right? You've, as the regulator, you've said that as financial planner, you will do the risk profiling, you will do the asset allocation, and you will not earn commissions. And as distributor, your role is to recommend products, right? I'm sorry I'm saying this, but 90% of y'all will agree to what I'm saying. The ground reality is that both are doing both, right? So you have an RIA who is supposed to charge a fee, but has somebody else in the ecosystem who has a distribution license, right? So if you come across somebody who cannot pay a fee, okay, you work with this other hand of mine. And as a distributor, tell me one thing, how are you going to be able to connect with somebody without understanding anything about that individual, right? So if you come to me and tell me you want to invest 10 lakh rupees, so I will tell you 4 schemes to invest. Is this doing benefit to the investor or harm to the investor? Because not everybody is going to first go to a financial planner and then come to an MFD. So very honestly, my opinion, SEBI is trying to build something which is not broken at all. We are very early in a cycle where there is so much of work that really needs to be done to have 1 million financial intermediaries first, to spread the word, and then see if there is something going wrong that has to be built. We are extremely over-regulated, in my opinion.
Shinjini, when we talk about regulations, what is the first thought that comes to your mind from the point of view of capping it at a certain level? That's the only amount of money you can make. That's the only amount of money you can charge. All of those things. When your customer base could be anywhere. For all the professionals to work, the profession also has to be lucrative. Yeah. There has to be a sense of the consultancy and the time that you're putting in a portfolio. So, initial thoughts on the challenges in regulation.
Sure. So for people who don't know this, I've been a regulator for 17 years on the other side. I was at the Reserve Bank of India. I used to regulate banks. So, and then later on I've headed a consumer bank. So I kind of understand that space very well. And now I've stepped into this world. What you said is right. So the problem with regulators is that they are dealing with an economy which is very binarily shaped. So we have a small number of people that are high net worth individuals, and we have a very large number of people that are poor. So whatever regulation they make, because we are also a democracy, the attention is always on that one person who might end up losing. It runs across regulators. So it's not just SEBI, it's also RBI, because you'll find similar things in banking. So what ends up happening is that you try to create structures that are so foolproof that you are actually protecting yourself from risk as a regulator. That nobody can come back and say that a regulated entity or a regulated individual caused grief. But in the process, what's happening is that it's like, you're trying to hold something in your hand and everything else is outside of it, right? So आपने एक मुट्ठी अपनी पकड़ के कस के बंधी हुई है, but वो सारी की सारी रेत जो है वो बाहर बिखर चुकी है. So हो क्या रहा है कि in the world outside, there is a large number of people, obviously, who are playing whatever game. So first of all, the use of the word advisor, right? So in banking, for example, the use of the word bank or deposit is very highly regulated itself. On the SEBI side, when I moved over, that first dissonance that I had was not that RBI does a great job of it in any case, but I'm just saying that this side, the thing that caused me a lot of dissonance was this use of the word advisor. So there is a fundamental asymmetry between the guy who's selling, okay, and the person who is supposed to be advising you, because they're both calling themselves advisors. And the thing is that both insurance and wealth products are sold. They're not bought. So we don't have a buyer's market, we have a seller's market. And we are not moving from that anytime soon, unless, like you said, there are 1 million people, there are foot soldiers who are actually doing that in the interest of the client, but then the client has to be ready to pay, right? Now the client is not ready to pay. The assumption is that you walk into a store and you as a consumer are able to look at 10 different washing machines and buy the right washing machine because it works for you. There is also a commission structure involved in the washing machine. The guy will take you to the machine which has the highest margin for him. But at least you can see and choose, and you'll make a mistake, and over your lifetime you will learn. But in financial products, you don't have that luxury. So when you make a mistake, you lock yourself in to long-term products that actually cause you more harm than good. It's like buying a washing machine that will electrocute your, mom or dad. It's like that, right? But that's how selling of financial products is. And it's really toxic. And when regulators try to control it, instead of looking at that rest of the sand which has toxicity into it, they're trying to actually close their fist and say, what I have should be really good. And that, I think, is part of the challenge that we have. But if you think about the reverse of what you're saying, I mean, I think it's a really big problem. None of us can solve it. But what you're saying, if you see the reverse of it, you look at IRDA, right? So IRDA is the regulator that's not really doing this. They're saying, oh, new country, low insurance penetration, hone do. तो होने दो में क्या हो रहा है? तो आप, everybody is saving on insurance products. So I travel a lot, and I have the habit of talking to taxi drivers, and I have 2 rural homes, so I go to villages a lot. Every individual in this country who graduates from having no money or being like really poor and then earning a little bit of money, the first thing they do is to buy a policy. In fact, their word for saving is policy. It is shocking, and it is really sad. But, so your 0.5% of financial literacy is correct. And the need for the million people is correct. The regulatory tight fist is correct. We'll probably break it. There are a few answers that we can talk about later. But.
All right. Pushkar, I want to take the conversation forward. We already know what is the problem, and it has been very nicely brought out that there are challenges, and why there are challenges from both ends. What are some of the trends, what are some of the practices in the rest of the world that can be adopted in India when it comes to financial planning? And if there has to be a change in the system, what as a community would you suggest then?
Mugdha, I believe that regulations should be macro-oriented. They should not be in micromanagement. What happens is that regulations they are providing a level playing field. But once the field is leveled, we see a lot of signals come up. We see a lot of speed breakers. Some are backbreaking also so high. And what happens that you don't earn points in just regulating traffic in narrow lanes. It should be expressway. Then your management comes. So it should be forward-looking, and you should just like how you just manage your vehicle at speed. That's important. It's not micromanagement. I believe I agree with everybody. And
right.
This is happening in some of the advanced countries like US.
Right.
They're not into micromanagement.
Vivek, would you want to chime in on that? What is an ideal world? I mean, ideal world तो होता नहीं है, लेकिन अगर कुछ as a community, because we are a lot of financial planners here, and if we were to come together and say, all right, this model works, what would that model look like?
So let me put it this way, okay? A lot of times the regulations are also not fully understood. So here is a thing, very, very simple thing, which I want to give an example. The medical profession is there for a very long time, okay? If you are not well, you go to a doctor, and you are fully aware that this particular doctor is specialized in allopathy, or homeopathy, or Ayurvedic, or Unani, okay? People will make an informed decision, okay? Nothing is bad, ugly, beautiful, whatever. There are different streams which are well defined, people know, and they consume. If you look from an advisory point of view, look from a client's end now, is that he's entering into somewhere where he's thinking it is allopathy, but it is homeopathy. what happens? Your board says allopathy, but actually the consumption is homeopathy or Ayurvedic. But actually you have not gone in to consume that. So let me be very clear here. And I'm not speaking on the behalf of the regulator, but often we understand where these things come from. These things come from representing correctly and avoiding misrepresentation.
Okay.
You shouldn't call yourself an advisor. If you call yourself an advisor, you should be paid a fee. That is as simple as that.
True.
If you are getting a commission, you are a distributor, you should be called a distributor. What is wrong in it? My view is that all these sets are doing great work. Our company has a license in corporate where we have an RI division and a distribution division. Separate. You just need to have a certain net worth and you need to start with it. 2013 when the regulations came, we were the first 30 companies in India to do it. Today, even today, till yesterday I hear people saying that should I not enter RI regulation. I don't understand. If you are serious, you need to put in capital. If you need, which business runs without capital?
Right.
Today, this group is doing all of this. You think this is without capital? It is not possible. You need capital. Capital is the first factor of production. You cannot run a briefcase office like this. So the point is that misrepresentation is something which is a strict no-no. Any regulation, any part of the world, it's a strict no. You cannot misrepresent. What the advisor needs to, or the MFD needs to say, that I am a distributor, I am an advisor, and this is what it is done. For the same client, I cannot distribute and advise both. That is absolutely clear. But the regulator doesn't come and say that, no, hey, if you distribute, you cannot advise. It's not like that. If Mugdha is my client, if we have signed a contractual agreement for advisory, I cannot distribute to you. Very simple. If I have an agreement to you for distribution, I cannot advise to you and take fees from. Very simple. So I don't see this confusion where this is coming from, actually.
Do you see this ambiguity between all the different people as one of the reasons why a customer may say that, may look at a real financial planner with a lot of doubt? Because a customer might feel कि ये मेरा पैसा कहाँ पे लगा रहे हैं? अगर ये कमीशन ले रहे हैं तो मेरा पैसा जो है सही जगह लग रहा है या नहीं? और अगर ये मुझे एज अ डिस्ट्रीब्यूटर एडवाइस कर रहे हैं तो ये मुझे कहीं वो चीज तो नहीं एडवाइस कर रहे हैं जिससे उनका कमीशन ज्यादा बनेगा. सो दैट एम्बिग्विटी is there, but at the same time the jobs are so different.
No, but I'll tell you, Mugdha, there are great distributors doing fantastic job. The soul is the same. People have the same sentiments. Nobody comes to cheat anyone. At least I have not met anybody who comes. At least I have not met so far that he starts a day saying that I want to cheat. No. Whether he's a distributor, MFD, advisor, RI, etc. We have bad apples in RIs also. We have bad apples in MFDs also. But keep that aside. The real people who do great job are people in all. There are good stockbrokers also. So there is nothing like good, bad in that sense. I think everybody has been given a license to practice in a certain way. That's a matter of choice. Nobody forced a license on you. You have gone and applied for a license and you have taken a license. I will keep that thing very at the center point, is that nobody forces you to take a license.
Right.
You want to take a license, you have applied, you have paid a fee. Now the regulations have to be followed based on what the license, because you have agreed. You have signed on the dotted line. So I think it is important to just make sure that this misrepresentation business is not done. Anything who represents correctly, aap aa jao, aap bolo, no problem, you can do that.
Ketan, you wanted to add? I also want to add one more question to it. तो क्या इसका मतलब है कि एक कंज्यूमर को या एक कस्टमर के पास में कितने फाइनेंशियल प्लानर्स होने चाहिए? कोई डिस्ट्रीब्यूट कर रहा है, कोई एडवाइस कर रहा है. So how many people should one be consulting? Should there be one person who can do this all? Should there be a group of people who do it for you? So that also comes in place then.
Mukta, I want to answer your first question first.
Yeah.
I have a slightly different view. While I agree to what Vivek just mentioned, but while we are trying to regulate, right? You see today, every communication that comes from the regulator is pertaining to the RIA and not everybody sitting here in the audience, right? Which means you want to make RIA as a community a very large community. I hope that's the message that goes around everywhere, right?
Yeah.
Now, when you want to make something extremely large, right? How do you make something extremely large? You make something extremely large by keeping things which are extremely required tight and then loosen it at some end where you can get more people to come in, right? While a lot of us sitting here might not want to speak of it out loud, how many RIAs here are very comfortable with the kind of audit that SEBI keeps doing? Why do I have to restrict myself at 125 or whatever that number of clients, 1,25,000 of fee that I have to charge? Why can't I have more than 100 clients that I can onboard? If I have to onboard more than 100 clients, why do I have to pay you a 5 lakh rupee fee and move to a corporate structure? Right? 90% people here, and I meet all of these guys at hundreds of platforms, right? They don't want to go ahead and take the RIA license because of all of these reasons. So my point of contention here is that if as an RIA, of course, as a SEBI, you want somebody to give qualified advice, so you check their backgrounds, you check the minimum work experience, you check the educational qualification. Brilliant, you have to do it. You have to do it. You have to audit to make sure that these guys are doing the right thing. But when you restrict me from not onboarding more than X number of people, assuming that I will not have the bandwidth, it's difficult to grow, right? So on one side, we are trying to grow the RIA community, right? And on the other side, the practical on-ground challenges that these guys are facing is not in sync with what should be done if it has to grow. Otherwise, give me a reason why, when the RIA thing has been around for the last 10 years, why do you only have 1,300 people, right, doing this business? So, of course it is. He absolutely said the right thing, but there are ground challenges which...
So let me add quickly on this. This problem is not new, it is identified. Once the problem is identified, there is a solution which is being worked out. No regulator wants to sit with the problem for next 2 decades. This regulation came in 2013, 2020 we had a COVID. After COVID, there has been a substantial change in the way we look at the world. Everything has changed. The regulator also has undergone their own transformation in the way they have opened up. Okay, the dialogue. So essentially, the problem is identified, the solution is being worked out.
All right.
Okay. 1 million ke liye the work is happening. Okay. But finally, it is your prerogative whether to take a license or not. Okay. But yes, the country requires 1 million today. They require 1 million distributors also, and they require 1 million advisors also. There are different market participants doing different jobs. Our country is very large. Okay.
There's space for everyone. That's
very
true.
large, very large. We don't have a rivalry in this industry. This is an industry where we want more people to come in.
Yeah.
This is the only industry where we want more people to come in. Okay. So we don't have a rivalry. Okay. Entry barriers are there which are being thought through. Because when you do a change, there are 100 other people who want to take disadvantage of the change. Therefore, the change has to be thought through properly. Okay.
Okay.
And therefore, I think we are discussing the past. We should discuss the future.
Exactly. What's the future?
The future is changing.
All right.
Okay. I don't have an answer of what, but I can definitely change you. It is definitely changing. The problem has been identified. The solution is being worked out. It will take a bit of a time. We need a bit of patience, but it will happen.
Lovely.
Sorry, so if I had to take on
Yeah,
that
I want
positive
to come
note,
to
if I had to
Sharan's
take a
waiting
shot at what is changing, Sharan will talk about some of the type of changes
Yes.
that will happen. I will talk about one thing. So since you gave the example of doctors, if there was a time in India when qualified medical doctors were few, and in the rural, I mean, I'm old enough to remember, and I also grew up in a village, there used to be these, quacks who were treating people all the time. They were giving a combination
Jhola
of...
chap.
Huh?
The Jhola chap.
Yeah,
But
and
they
they're
were
still
doing a
there.
good
So they're
job.
giving, they will give you Ayurvedic, homeopathy, whatever
Yeah.
comes to their mind, right? And it was your luck. You got better, you
Yeah,
didn't
hit
get
and-
better.
hit
right?
and- huh.
But when you
Hit and
increase the
miss.
number of doctors, when you created more medical colleges, that situation began to change. So I agree with you that as that situation changes, regulators then only have to ensure transparency, disclosure, fee structure, and things will become a lot better.
Right.
So I'm not negative about the future, but I do want to say that there is one flaw in the thinking which we need to, and since you are here, which we need to address, is that our standards for RIA is gold standard. The gold standard is also meant for people that give advice across, a holistic advice across categories, right? The problem is that this country's population dynamic, what he called Middle India or whatever, is the population dynamic doesn't yet require that. So you probably need a lot more RMPs in the system until the time that you can put on those MBBSs on the ground. And I don't think we're thinking about it like that. We're very, very tight-fisted about that, that if you're this category, then you're gold standard. Otherwise, the distributor is doing that job. And I don't have anything against that. But
No, it's again open for discussion, changes.
Yeah.
So as we speak,
Yes.
The solution
we are
is-
short on time, so I want to come
And I
to-
think technology
Yeah.
will play a very big role in
May-
changing this, because we will be a digital.
Mumta, may I add here on regulations? I think the emphasis all along has been in India on avoidance of conflict. It is very easy. You break the law, you are caught. The real thing lies in management of conflict. It takes a lot from you, and it requires a lot of trust, which is lacking in India.
Sharon, I want to get you in. All these people who are sitting here have worked really hard. They've gotten their certificates. They're working very well. और फिर आता है फिनफ्लुएंसर, जो कि किसी की बात नहीं सुनता है, उसके सारे फॉलोअर्स होते हैं. लेकिन जो चीज़ सबसे इम्पोर्टेंट है यहाँ पे वो ये है that if these guys are on social media, they can take their business to another level, because today social media is the biggest platform, right? And we also have a fireside chat about it. But when we talk about finfluencers, what kind of regulation do you think should come in, and also how big is the canvas for them to reach out to the audience?
Right, so I'll answer the first question about, you want me to answer about the regulations for finfluencers or the...
Mic is yours.
Yeah, so I think there has been a lot of news articles about the regulations on finfluencers. The word finfluencer on every article's headline just blows up, right? Every finance media outlet today is talking about us. And they're talking about how much money we are making, the kind of advice we are giving, and all of that, and that makes headlines. But of course, the regulations are important, and the recent SEBI guidelines on regulating finfluencers is a welcome move. It is the first time that something formal has come out for something which was born in the pandemic, which was 2 years back. And if you look at it, the primary motive of the regulator was that no mis-selling happens. So what most influencers are doing, and I would not name anybody, and I would say a handful of them, not most, is that they're using their influence to bring them on Telegram channels and asking them to buy this particular stock at a certain price. And that is what's bothering SEBI. But if you look at the vast number of influencers who are on, let's say, Instagram or YouTube, whose names you would be probably knowing as well, most of them have never ever promoted a particular SEBI-regulated product, like let's say buy this particular stock or buy this particular mutual fund by name. The way that we are making money is by promoting a fintech app. Hey, use this app to budget your expenses properly. And that doesn't come under the ambit of SEBI any which ways. So that is the first misconception that I want to address. Having said that, now if you look at whether it is mutual fund distributor or RIA as a business, true, SEBI is looking at it from a customer lens. But the challenges that we face from a business lens is very high, because the cost to acquire a customer has become so high. Like if you look at some of the top players in wealth management today, they're spending anywhere from 25 to 30,000 rupees to acquire one customer. And after that, you're asking them to pay an RI. If you're an RI, you're asking them to pay a fee. No matter if they're making 1 lakh per month or 10 lakhs per month, they're not paying you more than 10, 20,000 rupees, right? And then after that, you're telling I cannot make money from any other financial products, then the business itself is failing. So while it is correct to look at it from a customer lens, you also need to look at it from a business lens. Because if the business is not economically viable, why will I put in all this capital and money to offer this advice? We're not running a charity as well, right? So the only way around this, if we have to stringently follow what SEBI is saying, the only way around it is to lower your cost of acquisition. And the only way you can do that is by creating content, right? Because when you educate and make India aware of the importance of financial planning, then when you are marketing yourself, they will come for cheap. Like for example, in my case, I have a negative CAC, meaning customers pay money to become my customer, right? So I am already profitable from day one. Right? That is the power of distribution. So everybody here should be should play a very high importance to building your online distribution, creating content on social media. Sure, it takes time. It's very hard. So then you can partner with other people who are good at creating content. But that has become the single most important thing to ensure the longevity of your business. Otherwise, the customer acquisition cost is going to kill your business.
That's a great thought, and you can mob him during the lunchtime to get all those tips. All right. I'm opening this for a Q&A round, but only 2 questions. Two questions? 3 questions? All right. I already see a hand go up there. All right. Sir there. So could you also, after your question, could you also tell us who do you want
anybody can
right.
take this question.
Yeah.
You know, I'm a director at Mehta Equities as an advisor. I also do some financial education programs, and I'm really very happy that you people are, talking such good things. But the grassroots reality is really, really sad. Mm-hmm. I go to MBA colleges and also BBA students for lectures.
Right.
And the first question which I ask, what do you guys think about equity market? And 90% of people there believe it's a gambling den. So the financial literacy is not zero, it's negative. My father, I was an equity analyst. My father used to say, you are in a gambling den. So this is the condition of reality, and fin influencers. He talked about, there are so many fin influencers who show their beautiful cars and beautiful houses and how they're made from trading into stock market. So if financial literacy is not addressed, we can talk about financial planning, we can talk about estate management and will, etc., etc. But the grassroots reality is that is the 10th standard exam or the 12th standard exam talk about financial education?
Yeah.
Is there anything in the syllabus? Nothing. Absolutely nothing.
That's a great point. That's a great
Thank
point. Shintani, would you want to answer that? You run an app, and while it's only for women, but...
no, it is not only for women. We build for women, and men automatically come, because men anyway find every good product and use it. So we were really committed. In fact, 35% of our clients are men. We do no promotion to men, we spend nothing on men. But, they have money, they come, it's okay. We are committed to selling to women.
Financial literacy.
So, of course, major. I will tell you this, sir. My son is a lawyer, he's 28 years old, he's now a filmmaker. And every time he tells me this, he says, why were you teaching us Shakespeare and tax law? Why weren't you just telling us how to make money? So today I would have been less stressed about, because, filmmakers don't make a lot of money when they're young. So I think that's something really, really important. Young people are going to make more and more choices. Like you guys have FIRE, right? We created something called RIPE. It's an acronym for saying that people will need to build their own retirement funds. People will need to understand, because their lives are not going to be these standard lives. Ab hamare papa ke zamane mein people used to have pension PF. Hamare zamane mein we used to have, insurance, pension PF. Now, what are these young people going to do? They will have to build it. We are not teaching them. You are right. You are 100% right. We tried to reach out to colleges. We tried to build these programs, content, etc. There's a massive opportunity there that we need to work at.
All right. Lady here.
Hi, so my question to the panel is, when we started out, Anup had shown this very nice flower diagram where he talked about the different aspects of financial planning. So if I had to look at it from a very textbook financial planning angle, I would want to offer my client holistic financial planning services, which would cover not just investments, like you all talked about, but also insurance planning, how to create an emergency fund. So not all of it comes under the ambit of a SEBI. So just wanted to put that out there, underline it, and then ask the question that if I had to go for a license when I want to offer fee-only financial plan, holistic financial planning services, is the RI license the only way forward? And I open it to the panel.
Vivek?
Yes. Absolutely. Because that has been defined under the regulations. So financial planning is an investment advice. So there is absolutely loud and clear in the regulation. It's a central regulation. So again, I'm coming to this point that when you are influencing something, your role as an influencer has to end somewhere, and then you start something, then your role as a distributor or advisor starts. You should have a license for everything. You cannot maybe have one and do multiple things. See, that is exactly the problem, right? So if you are serious, then it is better to get into the regulation, because I'll tell you, there is an immense benefit in having a first mover advantage. First mover advantage, 10 years back when we did this, it was a foolish decision. People, बहुत चर्चा हुआ, काफी चर्चा हुआ. I'm surprised अभी भी हो रहा है चर्चा. Okay. 10 years back when we did it, people said, ki, why do you can be an individual. I said, no, we want to be corporate, that's okay. I have huge benefit. Your body language changes, your posture changes. You can do whatever you want within the ambit of regulations. The sky is the limit. So why think small? Why not think big? Okay, so, but yes, if you are doing different roles, it is better to have the right licenses with you.
Noted. I think we are running short of time, but Pushkar.
Yes, Mugdha, we train our certified financial planner professionals to be adept on all the components. So, holistic financial planning, as Vivek said, comes under SEBI, RIA. But a person is independent to take only one field, combine two or more fields. This is the prerogative of the person. We have to stop. Okay?
All right, I think with that it's a wrap. We are already minus on the time in the clock in front of me. But panelists, please do stay back. There is a felicitation in place. While we do that and make that happen, can we have a photo op? May I request Anuj to please do the honors and felicitate our panelists. Panelists, can we give us a minute? This is the Shinjini. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for Shinjini. Shinjini, thank you so much for all your insights and giving us your time. Keertan, if you could come forward, please. Put your hands together for Pushkar. Pushkar Chugh, thank you so much for your time. felicitations in place for Vivek. Thank you, Sharon. Thank you so much for giving us your time. Anuj, may I request you to please stay back on the stage? All right, we have another very big announcement to make, ladies and gentlemen. Give us a moment. Did we give a big round of applause to our panelists? We did not. So. All right. The next agenda this morning is very special. One Finance is also releasing a very special awareness film today called Papa Please. And before we release it for the very first time for the audience here and then for the rest of the world to see it on various platforms, may I invite Anuj to tell us what the film is all about, how did it come into being, and what was the entire journey of bringing this film together. Anuj.
All right, good afternoon, everybody. I think that was a fireful panel and a lot of insights. And I'm sorry, you're having to, look at me a lot. I promise this is the last time I'm getting on stage today. So we move on to the next segment. This segment is very special for all of us in the room. And after watching what we have to show you all, I believe you will be on the same page as we are. We all come across these conversations around, mis-selling of financial products, the way the industry works, lack of awareness, lack of literacy, etc. We believe there are, two sides to this problem, two parts of this puzzle, right? One is from the buyer's side, and the other one is from the seller's side. The problems, that this puzzle has from the seller's side, right, is something that I will address in a moment. But when we talk about it from the buyer's side, we all discussed a lot of challenges today about, regulations, financial planning, advisory, distribution, finfluencers, a lot of these, right? Now, there's also one very important aspect, which is about the customer's psyche, right? It's also most of the times where the customers, for the sake of their greed and sheer lack of understanding as to what is genuinely right for them, fall into unsolicited advices. See, an advisor is an advisor, right? RIAs are RIAs, MFDs are MFDs, they're distributors. We need them. We need them to do the transactions to purchase products. We need RIAs to help us guide through what is right and wrong. We need the influencers, right? Because you look at our population, it's huge. We need these influencers to include technology and content and help us spread the word to the every corner of our country and make people understand as to what is right and wrong for them through education. We need all of these people, but at the end, there's also this customer who falls into the trap. Of course, there are, some sources which are unsolicited, not qualified, and the customers fall prey to these. So, two sets of these puzzle, two sets of these problems. Here, with Papa Please, we're specifically trying and addressing the problem of the customers as to why and how, they fall into the greed and give in to their greed and seek advice which may not be right for them. It's a film which is an awareness campaign film that we're going to be launching across the nation. This is on the same lines as an awareness campaign for, mutual fund as a product. So mutual funds are here, right? It was a campaign run by the association. It was for the betterment of the entire society. Sunday hoya Monday, Rose Kha Monday, right? Now that was a campaign, run by the ministry for the betterment of the society. The focus of releasing Papa Please as an awareness campaign film is to help the customers be aware about taking the right advice, the right knowledge, and making the right decisions. So I'm really excited to share that this awareness film, Papa Please, is going to be releasing today, and all of you people sitting in this room are the first ones across the world to be looking at this film, even before the rest of the world watches it. We released the film right here. Before we move our eyes and ears and attention towards the screen, I would like to take a moment to credit somebody from my team and at One Finance. His name is Prakhar. He's standing right there. He's a young, motivated individual. He works with Sonam and her team in, doing everything that we do around content for spreading the right word. When Prakhar was briefed about what, we want to convey and what we want to do, this is what we've come up with. So Prakhar, thank you so much. And somebody coming from a non-finance background, understanding the language we speak, understanding what we want to convey, is very crucial, and we need more people like that. So, are we ready? Yes. Can we please have the lights dim? Some popcorn? All right, let's go.
So today, I'll tell you 5 new avenues that will make you a financial god like me. Step 1.
ये हैं अनुराधा और आसमान। इनका खुद का घर बनाने का सपना जल्दी से जल्दी पूरा हो, इसीलिए ये सब की बात मानते। रील वाले मोनू से लेके यूट्यूब वाले सोनू तक। किसी ने कहा क्रिप्टो तो भाई साहब हो गए एप्स में मस्त। किसी ने बोला स्टॉक्स तो मैडम गई इंडेक्सेस में फंस।
गुड नाइट बेटा।
5 साल की दौड़ है इनकी, जिसके अंत पे इनको चाहिए अपने सपनों का आशियां। अपने पापा को तो ये पूरे दिन सलाह देते हैं।
एक ही बात समझाए यार। बस बेटा हल्दी ट्राई कर पापा प्लीज।
लेकिन अपने पापा की एक भी सलाह नहीं लेते।
बेटा पहले फॉर्म 16 भर दो
पापा प्लीज।
अब दिन के हो गए साल और इन्वेस्टमेंट्स रह गए बेहाल। समय बीतता गया और बढ़ी तो सिर्फ 2 चीजें, छोटू की हाइट और आपस में दूरी।
उनको तुम्हारे सारे इन्वेस्टमेंट बकवास होते हैं। लगाओ, उठा रहे हो फोन।
पापा प्लीज यार।
अनुराधा और आसमान को जो घर चाहिए वो तो मिलने से रहा, लेकिन पापा को मिला उनका रजिस्टर्ड इन्वेस्टमेंट एडवाइजर दोस्त वरुण।
बिना फाइनेंशियल प्लानिंग के कैसे होगा?
मेरी सुनेंगे तब ना।
वैसे आसमान को खाने में क्या पसंद है?
अब जब पूरी दुनिया की सुन ली और कुछ भी नहीं बनाया, तो एक दिन वरुण अंकल ने खाना खिलाया। आज पहली बार आसमान और अनुराधा के खुले कान, जब सही जगह से सही तरीके से पहली बार लिया गया।
लेकिन हमारा घर?
जो फाइनेंशियल प्लानिंग आपको करनी चाहिए थी, आपके पापा ने आपके लिए की।
पापा प्लीज।
जैसे कुछ चीजों में पापा की सुन लेनी चाहिए, वैसे ही फाइनेंशियल प्लानिंग मैटर्स में सिर्फ क्वालिफाइड फाइनेंशियल एडवाइजर्स की ही सलाह लेनी चाहिए।
As of this movie now goes live. We will be distributing this film across social media platforms as we speak. We have plans to take this to every medium. We will be playing this in cinema halls across the country. It's very important for us to take this movie to the customers and explain to them the different roles that these stakeholders play, right? It's important we all understand we need a distributor to help us do the transactions. We need an RIA to help us understand what needs to be done. We need an influencer to help us be educated in the right sense. And this movie is one step towards helping these customers realize what is right and wrong and where are they falling in trap in their own greed. So when I started speaking about this, it was the two sets of problem. But before I proceed, I would like to take a moment here and acknowledge the work of Mr. Sunil Shroff, the person who played the character of Papa in the film. This was one of his last projects of his life. He recently lost his life due to natural reasons. He was one of the very few good actors in this community and has delivered some very good performances and work. We are truly saddened, with this. When we came to know about this, we were really shocked and surprised. We have people from his family, his son and some other people from the family who are here to witness the revelation of his last work. I would request all of you members of the audience to please take a moment and pray for the departed soul and pay our respects to the family. Thank you so much, everybody. At One Finance, we're in the constant journey in creating the ecosystem, which has two parts right now, the buyer and the seller. While Papa Please, as an awareness film, is focused on creating awareness among customers and help them be more aware and not take ignorant decisions, the other side of the puzzle is the seller, the service provider, right? Now, of course, there are challenges and problems in that part of the ecosystem as well, in that part of the puzzle as well. And we're trying and helping fix those challenges by highlighting these self-governing practices, integrity-driven practices, and the need for integrity and the importance of integrity in this community. What we've done in that space is written a book. It's called Fintegrity. It's basically stories of people who brought integrity back into finance. Before I speak more about Fintegrity, I would request the author himself, Mr. Keval Bhanushali, to please come up and share his thoughts about the book. While Keval is absolutely humble about this, I would still like to highlight that since the book has been released, which was about 4 months ago, we've crossed 2,000 copies sold across platforms. It's one of these finance books which is not number heavy, graph heavy, yet very emotionally drafted stories of 7 people. Keval, over to you. Do you want
to? Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Anuj, and thank you all of you for coming here today and spending the morning with us. And I think Anuj has already covered the entire, side of why we chose to write a book when it came to create an awareness with the problem of addressing people who are into selling of financial product and services. Because while I started my career and, that was, I think, almost 1.5 decades back, it was a very commonly perceived philosophy के boss sales में सब चलता है ना, गंदा है पर धंधा है ये, numbers need to happen by hook or by crook, and that was something which we were against. And I mean, as a family or as an individual, there was this dilemma and I'm sure all of you out here today must have felt or are still feeling that financial success or values, पैसा कमाना है या फिर अच्छा काम करना है. There is always that choice which we are given. While in reality we realize that that's not a choice, it's only a time-taking attempt or an effort. You can make money by keeping your values intact. That is what we have been talking about, that financial success doesn't have to come at the cost of your values. And for that, we chose to write a book. There could have been two ways to write a book. One is talk about how so I as an individual or Marwadi Chandarana group, a 3-decade-old group, even today being in top 20 broking companies in India, doesn't have even a single sales employee. How were we able to actually achieve financial success without compromising on our values? Or the second one approach could have been to narrate the stories of amazing people in every field of finance, related to finance, that how they have stuck around creating money for themselves, financial success for themselves, while sticking to their values and a lot of self-regulation. Just Sharan right now spoke about something where even in our last conversation we were talking about that, how it is important for every individual to be self-regulated first, be driven by their own values. And I think at an regulator level, eventually the regulations will fall in place. If we are judicious enough and there is nothing that you have done wrong, I don't think so there is going to be anything that is going to bother any entity or an individual who is not actually indulging into wrong practices. I have not seen even a single regulation in my life that has come to actually stop the good work. It has always come to stop anything that we were cutting the corners around in the name of smartness. We were cutting the corners around using some loophole in the system to monetize our businesses. That is what regulation eventually catches up to. So with that, I think I'll not take much time. We have got the stories of these amazing people, 7 people. You have them on screen, and I'm really glad that quite a few of them have been able to make it here today. So with that, I think I would request all of you, whoever has not read Fintegrity, I think we have a copy for each one of you today. Please go out there, read it. This is a story about all these people, whether it is Neha, who has been an influencer, whether it is about Mr. Vinayak. He has himself authored books and spread awareness about philosophical side of investments. So you have somebody like Sumit, who is an actuary by profession, the most talked about profession in mis-selling. I think insurance. जब भी mis-selling का बात होता है, insurance is the first thing that comes to everyone's mind. He has got back integrity into something which is so evidently missold, and still held up your practices high. With that, I think we can start having them on the stage.
Yes, absolutely. Felicitations are in order. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together as I now invite the Fintegrity stars for on the stage for the felicitations. So please put your hands together for Gajendra Kothari, MD and CEO, Etica Wealth.
I forgot to mention about Gajendra. He actually made my first financial plan, I think, almost a decade back. And since then I know him, and I always thought that I knew everything about finance by then, but having a financial planner really changed my life for good. Thank you so much.
And something very interesting that is written on Gajendra's profile is helping people become one idiot. So yeah, that's a very interesting profile. It says helping people become one idiot so they don't have to worry about money anymore. So that in itself is a great motivation for you guys to pick this book to find out कि ये one idiot की philosophy क्या है, right? together for Sumit Ramani, co-founder Protect Me Well. Neha Nagar, helping millions master money. Vinayak Sapre Sahab, दोहों से लीजिए निवेश का ज्ञान, ये किताब आपकी है. You must pick that up. It's a very interesting way of figuring out about the world of investments and financial planning as well. Our hands together for Aparna, Jitendra, Melvin. They aren't here with us, but we are with them in spirits, and a round of applause for them. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's move to the next panel of the day, a fireside chat, really. Account Aggregator Framework, the future of finance industry in India. Now, the Account Aggregator Framework is expected to
Thank you, Mukta. Hello, everyone. I'm sure you guys are a little tired with all the chatting that's been happening at you and not with you. So here we are, Nikhil and I, we wanted to actually talk about what's happening from the ecosystem that's larger than the industry, right? I'm talking about the government. I'm talking about the open architecture movement that the account aggregator system has been, brought with. Account aggregator is still the one aspect of it. I think the larger aspect is also the open and digital infrastructure, right? So I would like to start with Nikhil's background. Nikhil, if you can help us, the audience, understand what you do, where you come from, I think we can take it ahead from there.
Sure. First of all, thank you for inviting me, and I think greatly organized event, great turnout. Glad to see a full room on a Saturday. I will make sure that this conversation is interesting, and yeah, let's go. So quickly about my background, I come from a data engineering background, and I used to work at a data engineering company. I came across the RBI Master Circular around the account aggregator framework in about November of 2017. We thought this is really going to change the equation with respect to how financial data is accessed and used in this country. And spoiler alert, we are still going through that change. It took a while. We are in 2023 today. So the timing was iffy, but we're here. And with respect to what we do today, we help businesses connect to these open data networks of finance, health, credit, and commerce. And we help them build derived data products. So I know you heard a lot of jargon, but I'll try my best to keep it a very jargon-free conversation. So, yeah, that's me, and over to you.
Thank you, Nikhil. I think, in the interest of the viewers and all of you all here, the account aggregator framework has brought in data sharing, personal financial information sharing. Of course, it's across financial information providers, which are your bank accounts, your mutual fund accounts, your investment accounts, your demat accounts, and your insurance, as well as other financial instruments that you're invested into. The financial information user community, which is organizations like One Finance, like SALT, like other financial sort of services, businesses and apps. Nikhil, I want us to delve, into what's happening today in the account aggregator space. Nikhil's firm, where he is the co-founder and CEO, is a technology solution provider in the account aggregator framework space. If you can tell us a little bit about what a TSP does, who the current, prominent service takers are in this space, and what kind of data solutions do you provide to the financial information users, and how do they extend those services to their clients? Because this entire ecosystem is to empower. So the initiation of this was data empowerment and protection architecture, right? We are using digital data of users to empower the users in terms of services that can be offered. Trust is by design, not by words and by campaigns. So if you can explain a little bit about how the TSP is doing it today, and what are some of the use cases that you're seeing and finding value in?
Yeah, so I'll take a step back. I think to a large extent, the world runs on trust, more so the financial services space. If we look at, say, what's happening with Russia and Ukraine, for example, and countries like US and Europe, they've seized a lot of assets held by Russia in foreign countries, but they're not able to repurpose that, because if they would do that, it would be a loss in trust in the global financial architecture. And what that implies is trust is paramount in finance. And it's a tough business if there's no trust. Similarly, when we come closer home and we look at the India story, again, when this data protection architecture was brought about, and the whole premise for the account aggregator framework was that India today has a sovereign identity layer, which is the Aadhaar initiative. We have NPCI driving payments. And then the data layer, which sort of came to life with the account aggregator in the financial services side, or the Ayushman Bharat digital health mission on the health side, or we have OCIN now on the credit side. All of these are protocols with multiple parties, multiple stakeholders, and broken incentives. That's how I'll put it. There are no unsolvable problems, in my opinion. There are only broken incentives, right? So from that perspective, adoption of the AA ecosystem, you have multiple parties. You have entities who are custodians of our data. Think banks, depositories. You have your mutual fund houses. You have credit card companies. You have 18 other odd asset classes that the AA framework supports today, right? For these entities, what is the incentive for them to share data? It is their end consumers who are asking for access, who are asking for their data to be available. Similarly, on the other end, you have entities who want to use this data. Typically, the clear-cut, utility use case comes, of course, from, advisory and the wealth domain, in my opinion. And of course, we've been habituated that whenever we're asking for credit, some sort of data is expected to be shared to prove your credit worthiness. So that's the second leg, lending. And then the third leg is, of course, insurance. Insurance historically has not really had the consumer behavior to share data to purchase an insurance policy has been there above a certain ticket size, but not really, broadly accepted. But the whole premise here is that when you have all of these protocols of, say, open finance, health, commerce, you should look at them as means to acquire. The cost of distribution and acquisition of customers is what gets, reduced with these protocols. they do not actually, get you new customers per se, but when you have that customer's, foot in the door, right? At that point, the cost for you to understand that customer, to say potentially underwrite that customer, or to offer them relevant, advice, the cost and the efficacy of that is something that, gets solved for. But the other thing is, trust is again paramount. So the customer has to explicitly consent to share their data with you, who is, a regulated entity. So that's, the framework that we at Finar can sort of look at, that adoption of the account aggregator framework is a function of trust, utility, and ubiquity. So we need trust in the ecosystem. There needs to be genuine utility. And finally, it has to be ubiquitous eventually, like say how, UPI is today when it comes to payments. Coming to very quickly, what Finarken does, we work with insurance companies, we work with, of course, RIAs, and we work with a couple of NBFCs. And the whole premise that, we built our company on was that data is not a one-size-fits-all. Every single business has different means to, look at data. In fact, I think in a room full of advisors and RIAs, I think the tool that we compete against is Excel, right? So I think everybody has their Excel story, and we all start with Excel. And, even a simple Excel sheet is interpreted very differently in this room, right? So that's the core premise, that we do not think there's a one-size-fits-all when it comes to interpreting this data that these protocols bring to us. And then we therefore help businesses, build out something that is specifically and uniquely theirs. Yeah.
Thanks, Nikhil. I think one takeaway for us all here as advisors in the ecosystem, right? There are a lot of these use cases that's going to make us as advisors more effective, right? Reduce the burden on us in terms of crunching numbers in a way that is meaningful to us and the customers that we're advising and planning for. And how this helps us is that there is a unified view across your customers' scattered finances as they are today. To build value for them, you'll have to first see things in the right way, right? If you don't see the whole picture, we will run into the problem of, if we are blind, we're touching the, sort of tail of the elephant and thinking, oh, this is like the elephant's leg. So, Nikhil, I think what I also want to talk about is what kind of insight and courage did it take you to realize the potential in account aggregator, right, in the financial ecosystem as we know it today, for the retail customers that eventually end up getting this service? What gave you that courage that, okay, this is the business that I want to work towards? If you can give us a little backstory as to how Finarken started, because all advisors here and the ones who are listening online are somewhere asking themselves, is this profession lucrative enough for me? Is there enough value, respect, money to be made, right? I mean, if that isn't there, then this 1 million professionals, financial planners and advisors that we want in the country and the need in the country today, if that group of people don't find the value in it and a clear path, how do they get there? And what do you have to say as someone who has been a contributor to the ecosystem before the ecosystem really contributed to you?
Yeah, so I would say it started from a place of irrational patience. But I think my perspective is that as if you are a startup and not an incumbent, right? And that's how most of us would be. The perspective is very clear. You can afford to be too early, but you cannot outspend and afford to be sort of too late, right? So when we started, really the technical specification, a blueprint of sorts, was just published by Rebit, which is RBI's IT arm, and there was nothing else. Today there is an industry alliance called Sahamati, for example, if you guys might have heard of that, in the AE ecosystem. So the founder of Sahamati, BG Mahesh, he had a small event in Bangalore where he was announcing that, I'm planning to launch this industry alliance and collective. And we were there in that meeting, and, we were part of these initial discussions. And part of that ecosystem, coincidentally, before there really was an ecosystem. So I think, timing helps, but it's again irrational to attribute it to, say, timing and luck. You have to position yourselves meaningfully to make sure that you're eventually at the right place. Not the right time, because time is so I would say, again, there are no bad ideas, there's just bad timing, right? That's how it pans out. And for us, I think it comes down to that, again, incentive equation. Even today on the account aggregator network, there are massive volumes happening. I think a lot of people have written it off a couple of times in the last few years because it just took so long for this ecosystem to get to where it is. I would say progress and innovation, happens in discrete steps. You will not see a continuous sort of, up and to the right sort of graph here. And more so in this sort of ecosystem, because, let's say a couple of weeks back, we had depositories go live, CDSL and NSDL on the account aggregator framework. And just like that, overnight, pretty much all depository data in India is available, right? So you can't really model these things out and, predict when these things are going to happen. But what you can do is be ready and, be well positioned. So that's the perspective, we took at Finarkin. And coincidentally, even the origin of Finarkin started from the personal finance and the advisory space. So I've always been fairly, good with money. I think most of us are the CFOs of the house in this room. And I played that role as well. And, we were trying to look for some means to acquire data about an individual, and that's how we stumbled across the whole AE framework. And, here we are, Q today, and here we are. So, I think, I'll end on that note.
So, I think I was researching and I realized that Finarkin is one of the leading account aggregator technology service providers. What is your biggest client? If you can tell us, which industry or which segment within the financial services industry is currently using Finarkin services in terms of volumes, in terms of, say, revenues, and ultimately in terms of customer value that it's able to translate to its businesses?
Yeah, so we started with, focusing on the insurance space because it seemed like a blue ocean for us. And, we actually brought on board a few consulting actuaries to really help us, go deep on the insurance side. And that helped us, get a good head start there. So we work with, from I think 52 odd insurance companies in India today, probably 15 to 18 work with us. And hopefully more are on the way. Then the second sort of, domain where we saw obvious utility, but I think, is of course the wealth and the advisory space. That being said, monetization in advisory traditionally has been tough, as, more qualified people before me on the panel talked about. But, I think you need patient capital to make it big in advisory. And India has not really had a pure play, massive sort of national level advisory outcome that I'm aware of. I'm sure there are a few great regional challengers, and that ramp up is going to happen. But it takes patience, it takes focus and commitment, and more importantly, you're changing consumer behavior, right? You have a changing demographic also. So the age group, who you're now servicing to, is somebody who is digitally savvy, is willing to spend. And so there, we work with, of course, One Finance, and then we have a couple of smaller RIAs there. There is significant volume there, as purely from the advisory perspective, you want to pull your consumers' data a couple of times a month, if not more. So absolute volumes, that translates to fairly well for us. And then we have a couple of NBFCs such as, Bajaj Housing and, Aditya Birla and a few others. And of course, monetization is fairly, apparent and clear in lending. So in the near term, lending is that third leg of the stool, which helps greatly on monetization. As from a consumer's perspective, credit has historically always been a pull product. So any sort of documentation and data, expected from you as a customer when you're going for any sort of loan, you are willing to share. And from the lender's perspective, the ability to understand the customer is paramount to underwrite the customer. So therefore, again, there's a very clear value add and therefore, an arbitrage opportunity of sorts for players like us to monetize and exist there. So with all of that said, I think that's how the ecosystem will shape up. Every sector and subsectors and domains and use cases that the account aggregator framework would solve for will have their own sort of meandering sort of path, and it'll take a while. While what may seem obvious in, say, lending today may take a while to turn up on insurance, and similarly on wealth, beyond just bringing all your data in one place and aggregating it and providing some sort of spend analytics and insights. I think the next the next frontier, in my opinion, would be how does that translate to relevant recommendations? Does that lead to potential transactions? And does that lead to outcomes which the customers are actually able to measure and feel, right? Because that is when success is sort of realized. So that's how the market has shaped up, as a whole, and for us as well.
Very interesting to know. A couple of thoughts that I'd like to add here, on what Nikhil said. So the evolution in the financial services space for us financial planners, advisors here, it's important to note that there is within the community, right? There are different specializations. Licenses are a separate conversation. Service provision, exactly what service you're able to provide and are qualified for, is a separate sort of point and point of understanding. Upskilling and providing solutions, right? So first is access. In India, I think now we've solved the problem of access and the problem of transaction platforms. After access and platform, we need more education, right, which we want to spread. A lot of individuals, a lot of corporates, a lot of companies are doing that at their level. I know a couple of universities that are spreading financial awareness with financial success boot camps already as well as we speak. And Marwadi University also happens to be one of them, and this ecosystem is growing. Beyond access, transaction, financial education, it's now time to offer solutions, financial solutions in the realm of personal finance. And that is where your qualification as a certified financial planner or certified wealth manager or a certified financial analyst or NISM 10A, 10B, right? Let's not look at these qualifications as a barrier to entry to the ecosystem. It's not. It is for ourselves to be used to offer the solutions to the customers who are coming to us. And I think that's the trajectory that we're going in today. And it is very important that us as participants and integrators of the ecosystem realize this and recognize this, right? There is no point in debating, a distributor against an advisor, against a planner, honestly, the customer doesn't care. Beyond a point, they don't care about what qualification you have. If you are able to feel confidently that you're going to deliver the value, then you will be able to offer them and bring more customers to yourself. Regulation will always catch up to the industry. It's upon us, the industry participants like Nikhil and many other ecosystem enablers, right? So service provider like Finarkin is an ecosystem service provider. One Finance is an ecosystem that's educating customers and saying, hey, look, we'll take care of everything when it comes to financial planning. We'll have advisors who are qualified. We'll have incentives and interests aligned, right? So I think Nikhil and I, when we were having a conversation about what is broken, what needs to be fixed, where can we, with our own understanding and specialization and abilities, come in? Once we recognize what our true strengths are, if we can just focus on offering value on our true strengths, right, we can definitely build an ecosystem that's worth building for the customers. Ultimately, Account Aggregator is built to empower individuals of this nation, right? The working professionals that we're serving today, the families that we're serving today as financial service ecosystem enablers are going to create jobs, are going to offer well-being to their family members. They're going to get better quality of education because of effective financial planning and management. So it's never an either-or discussion. I think, a lot of the times on Twitter, on LinkedIn, we end up getting into these ideological debates कि यार MFD तो यही करते हैं, एडवाइजर्स तो सिर्फ यही करते हैं, उनको कहाँ पता होता है कि कैसे म्यूचुअल फंड्स को असेस करना होता है. हम म्यूचुअल फंड इवेंट्स अटेंड करते हैं हफ्ते में 3 बार, हमको पता है कि कैसे मैन्युफैक्चरर सोचता है, उनका क्या USP है, वो फाइनेंशियल प्लानर को कैसा पता चलेगा, वो तो जाते ही नहीं है. सो that's really missing the point here. And through this all, in the past 5 years that I've been part of the financial services ecosystem, I've realized that once the customer understands the value that you give, they will pay. It's not that Indian customers do not pay. We may think that they're price sensitive, but they are value conscious more than they're price sensitive. So let us recognize this. Let us correct our own misconceptions. Let us move this industry forward in a way that we envision it. Forget who's doing what. What do we want? Let's create our own future in this space the way that we find value in it. And I think industry will follow, the customers will follow. And, thank you all so much for coming here. Nikhil, thank you so much for being here and, sharing your views and thoughts. Thank you.
Thank you.
Jeet, may I request you to please felicitate Nikhil? Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for Nikhil. All right, both the gentlemen have gotten off the stage. लेकिन मैं फिर से बुला लूँ आप दोनों को अगर सवाल हैं. All right, any questions from the audience? All right, I already see a hand up, so please come. Jeet, come. अब तो 2 सवाल हो गए भाई, तो फिर रुकना ही पड़ेगा. All right, the gentleman there. We'll get the microphone to you. Just a second.
Hi Nikhil, I'm Bhavya and I'm a fan of Account Aggregator framework, or I'll put that way, to own entire stack of India financial infrastructure companies. I'm getting an echo somewhere, I think. So what I was wanting to know about is, when is the tipping point for this framework to go mainstream beyond lending as a use case? This is first question. Second question is that, are you working on any LLM models to kind of build out more insights using the 18 service like the 18 FSPs who are providing you the data? So maybe you can take any of the 2 questions and a few more after that.
Sure. So the first one, tipping point. If we would wait for the tipping point, we would not be where we are. So it's when you say when would it go mainstream? Yes, like I talk about trust, utility, ubiquity, right? So I think trust from the very top, which is the regulators, and then immediately the RBI regulation for the NBFC is, and then you have the individual 4 regulators, SEBI, IRDA, PFRDA, and RBI, coming with their own regulations. Plus we have again now the, I think the data protection bill, we didn't touch on that, I think, but that's again like a very big pillar on the trust factor. And the utility cycle is where we are right now. Now that, trust to a large extent has been established, and it is guardrails in the form of regulations exist. And by the way, I think regulations are absolutely and always a moat, provided you are on the right side of it. And, as a startup, you hate regulations until you're on the other side. The moment you cross over to the other side, you love regulations. So, because, that helps. So now that, the utility piece is getting figured out, I would say as, more and more mainstream entities, sort of get into the AI space, both on the information user side. So entities who are using data are known as financial information users. And then the account aggregators themselves, we have a couple of deep-pocketed AAs like a PhonePe, who has an A license. So I think collectively in the ecosystem, we are all praying that, PhonePe is going to open their pockets and, drive awareness for the ecosystem. But, there are, a bunch of these things are going to pan out. So I think that is when, when we get to the ubiquity side of it, when the account aggregator is the default de facto standard of, say, sharing data, I would say that is what would qualify as a tipping point. If you ask me for a time frame, I've been burnt and been wrong too many times to comment, and I know better now. And the second question, could you just quickly tell me what the second question was?
The use of generative AI or any LLM models on
Got it. So,
this large set of data.
Understood. So, to be very clear, by the way, what the account aggregator framework does is it commoditizes access to data. So anybody who is in the business of providing data, and this is not just on the account aggregator, but India stack as a whole. If we look at what has happened in Aadhaar, Aadhaar moved the bar up for KYC services. Aadhaar KYC and all the assisted infrastructure that came around it really drew the bar higher for service providers and intermediaries to actually create value. Beneficiaries are, of course, end consumers. Again, on payments, same thing. Value which would have otherwise accrued in a closed loop, like say a Visa or a MasterCard. With UPI, the value accrual has happened to all of us end consumers. Monetization is of course a challenge, but I think that's been the pattern in the Indian financial services space, that we expand the market, even though the per unit monetization sort of goes slightly lower. So when it comes to data, luckily, what I think is, unlike say payments or identity, where like, KYC, you have a RBI master circular for KYC. Payments, again, 4-party, 5-party system, fairly well defined. Complexity exists, but, closed loop cycle. Data, very open loop. The moment I give you data, even though there are 20 data providers, how you interpret data is where, truly the value accrual happens. And therefore, that is precisely where we are trying to innovate as a company. And the approach that we have consciously taken is we do not think that analytics can be productized. There cannot be a one-size-fits-all approach for data analytics. So that's the path that we've taken. And I think last bit, I think the whole, do you think Gen AI or, those things are applicable in financial services? I would say you would need explainable models. I will not write them off completely, but, we approach, at least me and my company, we approach it with a healthy dose of caution, because whatever analytics and insights we provide as a company or we co-create with our customers have to have some sort of explainable outcomes driving it. As you know, we are in a very regulated domain, both on fin and health, and the cost for us to go wrong is fairly massive. So we've been fairly cautious, but let's see how the next 6 months shape up. This entire domain is moving ridiculously fast, so I have no idea how the next 6 months are going to pan out. Let's see.
Thank you.
I'll just quickly add, and then Keval, your question. So I think the tipping point, is the usage. And the tipping point for the usage will come, obviously it has come from regulation, the industry is on it now. Now it's upon the advisory ecosystem, the financial planning ecosystem to really say, how can we build effective solutions with already what's happening, right? We're not sitting on the sidelines here. We are the ones leading the usage of this. It's not a do-it-yourself market when it comes to advisors and advisory ecosystem. Do-it-yourself up to transactions, up to trading, up to certain managing of your finances has already happened, and there is a segment of customers that want that and need that and are willing to pay for it. But now there is another segment of customers, large in number, who are looking for solutions and unbiased, qualified advisory that's holistic for their finances, because they're tired of going to 5 different people and 10 different institutions to manage their investments and financial exposure. Keval, please.
Yeah, hi. So Nikhil, I mean, just for the interest of everybody in the audience, I mean, we keep on tracking the set of data points that are already there. If you can just tell us what are the total number of people who have got some or the other financial data already on the account aggregator framework. What are the unique number of people who are already part of the account aggregator framework?
Yeah. So I think as of September end, the number was around 1.6 lakh fresh consents are raised every day in India. Right.
It's 30 million unique requests for individuals.
Yeah, so that is the scale on what is the current ramp up, and in the last 6 months, I think monthly that number has been growing at 25 to 30%, and it will only ramp up further from there. And we have, I think the couple of last few big pieces that were missing was that one, SBI as a bank was not live, which has now happened. Mutual fund industry, mutual fund data was not there. Now the CAMS and the RTAs have started bringing in the mutual fund data, and the depositories have sort of gone live. So again, massive coverage is there, and I think about 8 million odd accounts are linked today. So as a customer, let's say I have 4 accounts, 4 bank accounts, 3 bank accounts. I have 2 DMAT accounts, and then I have 8 policies. So that's the aggregate number. If we look at 6-7 accounts per user, I think that's the number of users that would be.
Amazing. So I think we are talking about the serious set of 3 or 4 crore portfolios that are unique in nature, or maybe 5 crore mutual fund portfolios. So once we have CAMS and Karvi and all the other RTAs, I think that number should also just exponentially grow, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And
what's the timeline again? Now we have NSDL, CDSL. We are waiting desperately for
GSTN going live is the timeline, because then nobody is leaving account aggregator.
Yeah, I mean, considering the GST framework also to be part of the account aggregator, ecosystem, I think we technically will have every adult who has a financial exposure covered in this framework eventually.
So right? I think we discussed this right amongst us. Once ITR filing becomes default within the account aggregator system, GSTN would still be, merchant transactions. But once ITR becomes automated on your account aggregator framework, which the government will certainly make it happen, the number of tax filers will almost quadruple overnight. So this is not going to be a steady growth. It's going to be an exponential growth until it's not. And we will all be given an email with a statement saying, this is your tax liability, it's already been paid for, this is your receipt. And that's eventually going to happen, I think.
So, yeah, I mean, the whole point of having that holistic planning done whether it was about tax planning or whether it is about liability planning, it becomes cumbersome for an advisor today to actually go out there and plan for anything which is existing because of the data problem. And that is why the starting point always is what is your fresh investment surplus available, and that is where the planning is focused on, because to actually plan on what is already there is very difficult. So that whole piece will be taken care. I mean, I just wanted this specific use case to be known for all the people so that they understand that how easy will it be to actually do the holistic planning, which is so cumbersome today.
Yeah, so Nikhil was saying that Wealth Tech, which is your apps that are providing financial information in one place, are the most largest users in terms of APIs. So people have already started seeing their financial information in one place, which is, including your assets, including your liabilities, insurance, credit cards, etc. Once you start seeing it in one place in an effective way, you can now start building solutions to enhance what you have and what you can have and what you should have. So that's where we are today, and thank you for that. If there are any other questions, or I think we're short on time.
No man ever takes the subtle hint. So I had to come 3 positions. We had to take the microphone away from Cable. But wonderful gentlemen, and as you can see, the conversations can continue forever. Thank you so much, and that's the reason why today we have, so we are absolutely running out of time. Sabka अभी एक next panel भी है, तो इसलिए, but we have a lot of time for networking and questions, so it's going to be a lot of fun. All right, 2 very quick announcements. Yes, you need to start your social media journey. So आज से बढ़िया दिन क्या है और ये hashtag है. So please make your presence felt on social media at the Global Finance Planners Summit. Please tag One Finance, and the hashtag is GFP Summit 2023. So put your thumbs on your phone and do that. And the other announcement is that we have a very special sketchbot outside right in front of the registration desk, which basically is taking a quick picture of yours and giving you a sketch as a souvenir. So please don't forget to take that souvenir back home as well. All right, without further ado, we are now going to our next fireside chat, which will interest everyone because it's on the importance of personal branding and social media. All right, so independent finance professionals, and for that, who better to moderate this chat than content creator, author, branding consultant, Manish Pandey. Manish is part of the leadership team of India's best social impact organization, Josh Talks. He has recently co-authored a book, Booming Digital Stars, covering the aspects of creator economy and stories of 11 most inspiring content creators of India. He dons many hats, from very humble beginnings today to a very sought-after man in the brand storytelling business. All right. And may I also invite Kanan Behel, a chartered accountant with a finance educator, and he has co-founded a startup focused on financial services and has worked closely with notable brands like ICICI Securities, PhysicsWallah, Grow, to name a few. And his insightful research-based education content on economics and market movements has earned him a strong reputation in the world of finance. So, over to you, gentlemen, and then a quick round of Q&A.
So, how are you, Manish bhai?
I'm great. My bio is very scary with the kind of things that's happening around. Keval bhai always pinches me कि ये देखो क्या हो गया, and इसके पीछे आपका हाथ है. So it's.
So, like, if I talk about the financial industry, financial services industry, the biggest misconception that I feel that is around there is that मैं तो consultant हूँ ना, मैं तो advisor हूँ. Why should I be a content creator? So, let me just first bust this myth, and if I may have your help on this, like, why do we need financial advisors to be on social media? So, if you can shed some light on this.
Well, it's very easy to kind of point out mistakes when other people do something and there are mistakes. For example, we often hear that, this finfluencers or, finance influencers, whatever we have coined a term, and you say that, how does this person qualify to say what they are saying? Do they have proper certifications? Do they have, proper degree to be saying that? And my point is, if you have the degree, why are you not speaking about it? I mean, you've left the space open, and that is why people who find an opportunity, and this is how it is. This is evolutionary thing, that people find opportunity, they prep themselves for it, and they go for it, right? And if you are calling them out, you're making names for them, then actually you are also pointing finger at yourself by not doing it yourself. So that is why it is very, very important for responsible sharing. It is very important for people who are in the world of finance. And today I learned that there are only 10,000 QFAs for the entire nation. And, and America has much more than us. And we are 5 times larger than America when it comes to population. It's the same case on social media too, right? You think that, your job is grumpy and people will take you seriously only if you have serious face, and you're not expressive, but you will only become that, Gusel Fufaji in a wedding to find out mistakes. It's not going to work like that. You will have to express yourself, and in due course we will discuss how do we do it also. I'm also not going to be one of those that tell you that karo lekin mat batao kaise karo. So that's not going to happen. So we'll discuss all of that today.
Absolutely. And if I may have to add to this point, like we had in the first panel discussion as well, where it was said that SEBI is coming for the regulation in the influencer space, because there are certain people who are saying that you can make lakhs of profit in a day and then selling their products, and that's a different thing. Why they were burgeoning was because there were lesser people amongst us who were calling out them, right? So definitely from an ethical standpoint, it's very important. And apart from that, if you can shed some light around why is it important for me to be on social media to grow as a financial advisor? If you can tell from a commercial standpoint as well for the financial advisors.
I mean, Karan, you are one of the examples here, I guess. How did I come across you? I came across you through one of the threads that you had written. It was out of my subject. I personally, finance is as tough as maths for me, like how I was very weak in maths in school, and it is exactly like that. However, the more I started reading, and what you did was you simply broke down some of the things, right? And I clearly remember that you had written about some insurance fiasco or something like that, and you broke it down that what happened, and you did not use jargons and you made it sound easy. Now I immediately followed your handle, and then we've been connected and we've been spoken, and then when we were chatting offline, you said that most of the gigs that you have got, you've got it because you expressed yourself, and your handle says that you are a CA. That means you are a qualified chartered accountant, which also gives you I don't know if license is a wrong word, but an authority to kind of understand the subject and lawfully write it. So that makes you interesting. And the reason how I found you and the jobs that you got, the consulting jobs that you got, if you would have sat yourself in one of the offices, you would have still made money, but maybe you would have not done what you like doing.
Absolutely.
So one of the examples of using social media effectively, one of the examples of putting yourself out there, telling the world what you know, got you what you have. So, I mean, that's one of the examples of being out there and expressing yourself.
Absolutely, that is there. And in fact, even if I talk about financial advisors, I see a lot of financial advisors who have made immense number of clients through social media. So if you talk about some famous portfolio managers as well, they are famous because they learn to express themselves well across forums, and that's why they have, their assets under management running into hundreds of crores. And that is why, as financial advisors, you need to express. And let me tell you, it's a patient job, and then we'll discuss this in due course of this discussion. So let me just first break down, like, what is a personal brand, if I may ask you?
It's a very complex process. You have to buy a rocket from Elon Musk, and then you'll have to buy jet fuel from somewhere. No, it's not like that. I'm just kidding. Guys, it's very simple. You know, you cannot make your brand online without having a substantial stuff in you offline. So technically, it is just leveraging the power of social media, putting yourself out there. There are certain ways you do it. You know, every platform has its own way of doing and stuff like that. Technically, it is just updating about yourself, right? So I don't want to make it complex because it is not complex. It is very easy. It is a matter of discipline. It is like how you go for your walk, how you go for your jog, for your health, right? It's exactly like that. The word personal is attached with it. Like how in personal finance we say that it cannot be, you know, one umbrella for everybody. Everybody is a different personality. Make sure that your offline and online personality is matching. It is then sustainable. So you write about things that you believe in. You express yourself. The person, if I happen to meet you offline, I mean, I should be getting the same energy from you what I got from online, right? For example, I'm very moved. If you meet me outside, I'm a moved person. On social media, I'm a moved person. I just give quirky replies. I don't hold my horses. I have nothing to lose. And I'm that kind of personality. So, I mean, that is what personal branding is. I mean, there is no dictionary definition to it. More than what personal branding is, I think we would like to focus on, you know, how do you go about it? Why is it important for these people who are in this room? I mean, 30-40 क्वालिफाइड फाइनेंशियल इन्फ्लुएंसर्स यही होंगे, वो क्या बोलते हैं आप, वो होंगे यहाँ पे, तो 10,000 में से तो 2-5% यहीं पे है. So you know, if we can have all of you be online and speak about it, then it will be a safe space, you know. So technically, if you guys choose to express yourself online, you will be doing a favor to noob people like me, and who will get right kind of advices and not you know, get trapped in people who are not doing adulterated practices, right? So if यदि कल मैंने बिटकॉइन में पैसा लगा दिया बिना सोचे समझे, तो आप रिस्पॉन्सिबल हो. So take it like that.
So yeah, got it. That's really helpful. So let's move on to the other space, like the very important aspect of personal branding in financial space. Why do you think in India it is so important to have a personal brand when you are running a financial advisory business?
I want to take an example, like Zerodha, right? And both the co-founders, Nikhil, Nitin, both of them are very vocal on social media, right? Acha, before social media, I remember reading somewhere that Nitin used to blog a lot. And that is how, that became the base for the company, and correct me if I'm wrong. And then that's how, you know, from there, they registered that Kamath Associates, and then from there, Zerodha got found, right? See, it's a great product. We all know, most of us use it and whatever. However, finance is a very old, kind of a very sincere kind of a, you know, a look is given like that, right? And then these are two young founders trying to do something, and then there are people who get threatened also, right? Who are elephants of the industry sitting, and you know, they will kind of, they have always made remarks that, हाँ, इसमें ये problem, उसमें वो problem है. The reason why people have so much faith, belief in the product today is because both the co-founders are out there talking about it every day. You know, if anything happens, any rules come or any regulations come, or if anything happens in the market, they put their advisory. They are there to kind of, you know, many people said that, अरे ये नया broker firm है, ये तो भाग जाएगा पैसा लेके, and all of that, right? I've read these kind of things. And then these guys, they have advocated themselves, the team has spoken about it, and they've been out there. So हुआ क्या कि today, if there is any problem, मान लो कि, and I'm gonna speak in layman language, guys, because I am your customer, so, and I understand nothing. मेरे Zerodha अकाउंट से यदि 400 रुपए कटे और उसके मैंने स्टॉक नहीं खरीदे, तो वो किस चीज के 400 रुपए कटे, मैं नितिन और निखिल को टैग करके पूछ सकता हूं, और वो रिप्लाई करते हैं. That increases my faith in the organization, and obviously the team takes over and they answer and stuff like that, and you know, you are made understand that भैया वो आपके वो फीस भी तो लगेगी, आप यूज करने कैसे थोड़ी यूज करोगे, right? So And it's a true story, right? Because मुझे बोला गया था कि फ्री है, फिर मेरे 400 रुपये कटे थे एक बार, तो मैंने ट्वीट कर दिया था कि भैया 400 रुपये कट गए. So my point is, see, I'm making it as simple because this is how you kind of win trust on the brand, right? So subliminally, those two boys are actually advertising about Zerodha day in and day out just by being out there, and it's helping to their purpose, and that is why it is important.
Absolutely. So like, if we talk about them, they have been doing it for close to 15 to 20 years now. And now they are at a position that they have over 10 million customers today. So like, while they are one of example where the product was great, the idea was great, and then, you know, they were building distribution from 0 to 1 along with the product. But do you think, is it worth it for everyone to invest alongside, of course, their day job or their day business, to invest so much time into social media? Because I can tell you it's not easy to come up with insightful content every day. It is not easy. So I take a pause. ठीक है, नहीं है कुछ डालने को तो नहीं डालना ज़बरदस्ती, but ठीक है, मुश्किल है वो regularly वो चीज़ करना. But is it worth it?
I mean, see, if you ask me whether is it compulsory, worth it and all, it's a choice end of the day. However, if you do it, it's better. It's gonna help you, and more than helping you, it's gonna help people who have faith in you and who look up to you because you are a qualified person, right? Definitely it's a choice. However, if you can do it, it's gonna help a lot, right? And it is simple. I mean, as I said, just give it 10 minutes of your day, not more than that. Also, the reason why we get derailed, and you put out a very important fact that it takes 10 to 15 years, and which is right. Nothing good happens quickly. You know, बच्चे को भी 9 महीना लगता है माँ के पेट में, right? So my point is, it's not mandatory. However, if you do it, it's easy. You know, it is about going out there and expressing yourself. If nothing, if you say, for example, Twitter, X as a platform, यदि आपको ये नहीं समझ में आ रहा है कि मैं क्या लिखूं, तो आप पढ़ के रिप्लाई करो. Be on the platform and say if I'm an influencer and I've written something which is out of the line, which is not really, like for example, I'll make you retire by 45, come follow me, whatever, right? And say that if you are a person who understands this psychology completely, and say that, hey, there are 5 flaws in what you have written, you can reply to my tweet and you can correct me, right? Second thing, the moment you get on social media, everybody is conditioned कि यारे मेरे followers नहीं बढ़ रहे, मेरे likes नहीं आ रहे, मैंने तो लिखा लेकिन किसी ने like नहीं किया, किसी ने retweet नहीं किया, किसी ने reply नहीं किया, you know, उसके तो इतने सारे हो रहे हैं, मेरे नहीं हो रहा है. Are you there for that purpose? No. Because your motivation should not be that. It's because यार आपका actual wealth है ना, तो आप social currency के पीछे क्यों भाग रहे हो, right? So these are the kind of things that you need to tell yourself, that why are you there? There's a purpose for it. Anybody here, you know, I mean, people from world of finance, be on social media to educate others and to express yourself. Your numbers, your followers will be a subset. You put quality content, people will follow you. Like, Karan, why do people follow you? People follow you because they have gained some, you know, nice advices, or maybe some nice information that is simplified, right? So good will always attract good, and you will always have, you know, people following you and stuff. But you start first, right? You know?
Definitely. And if I may add 2 points to this discussion as to why building a personal brand, especially in the financial space, is important. I was listening to this one podcast by the founder of Credit, Kunal Shah. He said that in India, you see conglomerates, like we see Tatas, we see Reliance. The first step in building a business is that you acquire trust of the users, because inherently, India as users, we are trust deficit. India is a trust deficit nation. Whereas if you see this same thing happening in US, you would be surprised. Like, they have specialists for every kind of business. There's a separate person doing FMCG, there's a separate person doing construction, there's a separate person doing steel and everything. But in India, we see Tata, Reliance, Adani doing all of these things, right? So India में trust लाना सबसे ज़्यादा important चीज़ है, and more so in the financial space. So that is part one. And second, why is it so important in the financial spaces? Because like someone rightly said, there are 90% of the people who still believe that stock market is a gamble, right? तो अगर हम इस चीज़ पे एजुकेशन स्प्रेड करते हैं कि भाई स्टॉक मार्केट गैम्बल नहीं है, equities are not gamble if done in a sensible manner, then as an ecosystem, financial advisors will automatically, stand to benefit, and definitely you will be a part of it. So that's what.
Yeah, I mean, I'll give you an example of yesterday only. So my mother's account had some 18 lakh rupees, okay, and I told my mother that we should invest this money. It's your money, but we should invest it. And I was kind of telling her things that. Then the first thing she told me, कि सट्टा तो नहीं लगाओगे, सट्टे बाजारी में तो नहीं डाल रहे हो. And guys, it's a true story. It happened yesterday night. Then I told her, no, there's somebody who's professional, who manages my money, and she's gonna do it. It's her job. She's qualified. My sister had a very hard time getting just a signature done from my mother on that demat account thing. And she was like, nahi, ye tere papa yahi to chhod ke gaye hain, and all that started, right? And then it took me some time to kind of, and like how mother-son relation, I lost it after a point, and I said, Ma, you don't worry. If anything happens, I'll give you this money, so chill. And then somehow I convinced her, and then uske baad bhi she said, nahi, lekin 2-4 lakh rupees chhod de, right? But this is how it is. This is the reality of our nation, and they are not wrong. So this is why it's very, very important what you said, to establish trust and stuff like that. It's real. It's exactly real. It's on our face.
Right. And especially if we talk about the generation who is in the 60 plus category, they are lesser, they spend lesser time on social media. But as we see more and more people of our generation, 10, 20, 30 years above us, they're still spending a significant time on their phones and, hooked to phones. So like when I left Delhi last month, I still remember it was my last day at home, and still all three of us, my parents and I, we were still looking at our phones, sitting in the same room and seeing something or the other, right? So our generation, the generation above us, is going to spend a significant time on social media. And this is the right time, I believe. Like, of course, 60 plus पे नहीं होता हो, but 60 से नीचे मैं अगर देखूं तो बहुत लोग social media पे time invest करते हैं. So I think अभी भी we are still very early as far as these platforms are concerned, and if we build a personal brand on social media, our businesses will definitely stand to benefit from it. So with that, if I have to come to a different example, like I think we already discussed this as to who has benefited from this. Do you have any other examples apart from what we have discussed so far?
I mean, they're full of examples. If you take examples like Neha is sitting here. I mean, Neha has been creating content for around 4-5 years. Of that, I know her. Neha's husband is a CA. They have this entire finance ecosystem in their house. Sister is studying CA and all of that. So it's a very nice ecosystem. However, if you look at their background, the family have been humble farmers and stuff like that. So if you see them, because they have chosen to kind of be out there, express themselves, also coming from the background, they have, knowledge. I mean, who's benefited? The family is benefited. Wherever the family was, they have managed to take the family to a next level. There are hundreds and lakhs of, thousands and lakhs of people who've kind of at least taken interest in learning on the subject. Right? So the awareness is increased. So it's a holistic kind of a approach, right? That people take and learn from, right? सब कुछ डिस्कस हो जाता है, लेकिन मसला आके हटकता है कि इसको करें कैसे, right? So I think even that should be discussed. So anybody who's here, who's kind of interested in starting your personal branding journey, first of all, I want to make you all understand it's not a rocket science. It is not complex. It is easy. You just have, like how you make Demat account, you can make Twitter account. right? You can make your, other social media account.
Even
and
simpler.
Even simpler, right? KYC bhi nahi karna padta, right? So all I'm trying to say is, how do we go about it? बहुत सिंपल है. आप एक्सेल शीट पे, और एक्सेल शीट से आप लोगों का बहुत अच्छा नाता है, राइट? आई मीन पीपल इन फाइनेंस, यू गाइस ब्रीथ एक्सेल शीट. एक्सेल शीट पे, वर्ड डॉक्यूमेंट पे जस्ट राइट डाउन योर थॉट्स, पिक अ सब्जेक्ट, राइट योर थॉट, राइट? उसको थोड़ा सा नर्चर कीजिए, एक बार खुद पढ़िए और उसको पोस्ट कर दीजिए. उसके बाद क्या होगा क्या नहीं होगा वो बात, रोज उसको रिपीट कीजिए. एंड देन go on social media, spend like 10 to 15 minutes in a day, not more than that, because you guys have other things to do. And then देखिए कि आपके सेक्टर के लोगों ने क्या लिखा है, क्या कोई on Twitter, like there are like Twitter spaces happening, on LinkedIn there is live sessions happening, उसको attend कीजिए. Participate first. Before you try to become a creator, please participate कीजिए, understand the arena, and then slowly start creating. Right? I mean, all the knowledge that you have, if it's going to your grave, it's of no use. Right? So please make sure that whatever learnings, experience you have, express it out. And as Kanan said, the next generation from now, they are going to spend all their time on social media or digital platforms. Right? So that's going to be their university and school. So it's very, very important for you guys to be there so that we or the younger generations are guided. And thus it's a humble request that start creating content, right? With a very clear mindset that you're not there to chase numbers, you're not there to chase social currency, you're not just there to kind of compete with other counterpart of yours, that kiske kitne follower बढ़ गए और किसके कितने likes or retweet आ रहे हैं, that doesn't matter, right? Start. The numbers are going to be, what do you call, subsets. What is it called? Dividend. Yeah. So something like that. Just guys, I'm just trying to fit in your group by speaking some of the keywords that I have learned from.
Absolutely. So, like if I have to talk about the relevant audience, वो कहाँ पे मिलेगी? हमें, if we have to, reach out to like-minded people, and not just like-minded people, but say the target audience in terms of getting our potential clients. Where do you think, which is the best platform to start with?
See, again, if you talk from making business POV, you make your personal brand, you have some number of following, and then now you want people to avail your services, right? Whether you are a CA, whether you are a qualified financial advisor, like however. So, I mean, people can be on all platforms, right? Anybody who's making money and anybody wants to manage their money or, even pay tax, they are everywhere. They are on Instagram, they are on LinkedIn, they are on X, which is Twitter, everywhere, right? So, and there is a problem of plenty here, right? So you choose that what is your personality, how expressive you are. Are you a shy person? You don't want to be on the video, you don't want to create a video yourself, then if you think text is a safer medium for you, then obviously LinkedIn and Twitter, X is a platform that you should go. But if you think, no, I'm an expressive person, I can speak up, then why not make your short videos and put it on Instagram, put it on LinkedIn also, post it on Twitter also, how does it matter? So that is what it is. You will find people from all the platforms. I mean, people who need help will reach out to you on each platform, because after a point of time, maybe you will not reply. Like for example, I do not see at my LinkedIn DMs. It's full, and if I open, every second or third person is trying to avail my time or service and take my advice on things. And I've said enough is enough. I'm not going to do that anymore. I'm going to focus on a couple of things that I'm doing, and that's it, right? So it is going to be like that. I mean, it's like, for example, yesterday a team member of mine texted that her guru somehow got brain tumor, and now she doesn't know which neurologist to speak to. ऐसा तो नहीं है ना कि बॉम्बे में neurologist नहीं है, but she doesn't know who to speak to, and now she's looking for references, right? कि कोई बता दे कि कौन सा neurologist सही रहेगा, right? I want these neurologists to create content and not be there, and to find. It should be easier to find them. Like, it is tough to find a financial advisor, whatever you guys say. I mean, where are you guys? Where do you live? How do I find you? I need to pay tax. I don't know how to. What is this new regime, old regime, Form 16, whatever it is? Where do I get it? तो क्या होता है? You call a friend. हाँ, मेरा ये दोस्त करता है, तेरा भी कर देगा. That's how it works, guys. So be there. I mean, express yourself. Otherwise, it's gonna be like, a distance.
Right. And like, if I have to ask you on a concluding note, ऐसा नहीं लगता कि already बहुत ज़्यादा creators हैं? So I'll tell you my own example. When I wanted to quit my job and start building a personal brand because I had a business to start with, I was like, यार already बहुत सारे creators हैं, मैं क्या करूँगा वीडियो बना के? तो मैंने इस चक्कर में 2021 में start ही नहीं किया था. Then I saw another bunch of Instagram creators burgeoning and who have surpassed the ones who existed before the pre-COVID, in the pre-COVID era. So definitely that was a wake-up call कि it's never too late. But don't you think अब तो कुछ ज़्यादा ही हो गए, like that more than 25 people, if I recognize in the financial influencing space on Instagram who have more than 100,000 followers. So what's your take on that?
तुमने नहीं किया इसलिए नेहा और शरण ने कर लिया था. Okay, I'll tell you. It's a very psychological bias. 50 करोड़ लोग रोज YouTube देखते हैं. कितने यूट्यूबर्स हैं कंट्री में? 1000, 1500, 2000 जो रोज एक्टिवली कंटेंट बनाते हैं. अब डिवाइड करो नंबर, वही प्रॉब्लम है. वो जो तुम्हारे 10,000 QFAs है ना, कंटेंट क्रिएटर भी वैसे ही कम है, कोई ज्यादा नहीं है. And now I'll break your bias. The bias is you live in a digitally aware universe. People who you follow or your friends are all educated, are all of the same domain, and are somehow creating content. So the thing is that on your social feed, it's every second piece of content is from a creator. And that is why you think that there are a lot of creators. If there were a lot of creators, how come every 6 months we have somebody new who's getting 1 million follower, who's getting 500K follower, and there's a new set of people. Absolutely. It's not the same person is following every content creator. Right? If you take a subset of Neha's followers and Sharan's follower, I'm sure 60 to 70% will be people who will not match. Okay. Are you getting my point? That's right? For example, like, I was analyzing Ranveer's YouTube backend yesterday, and we saw that 13% of his audience is now from US. It used to be 96% India.
For the Beer Biceps
channel. For the Beer Biceps channel. Somehow, there are new numbers from Brazil. It never happened. So my point is, it's not, your arena is very huge, right? And I mean, the world is a country today. So it's never, at the creator side, it's not the problem of plenty, at least. Okay. So please start. And there is a lot of penetration to be done, right? And every day as we speak, number of people who are embracing internet is increasing.
Absolutely.
I mean, we just heard that we have people who are at the age group of 25 to 55, that's going to be the maximum chunk of the country. I mean, please start. That's what I can say. There are very less content creators. It's not the problem of plenty at all.
Thank you. With this note, I don't think so I have any further questions. Now I will also start video content creation, having motivation from you. If anyone else may have any questions, please. Yeah, we have 2 hands here as well.
Okay.
Hi Manish, hi Karan. Like, people need financial planners. We as chartered accountants or financial people need content people to help us how to understand algorithms, how to edit, because we don't know how to solve this issue.
So it's a very relevant question. However, that comes later. After you have a habit of starting and, going on social media platform, expressing, consuming content, there are many avenues available. There are content creators who have also made courses. However, what I would say is, whatever question you have, put that on YouTube, how to, whatever, and you will get hundreds of explainer videos, which will explain it to you step by step on how to go about things, right? For example, every social media platform has their creator studio. Twitter has its creator studio. YouTube has its creator studio. Facebook has it. Instagram has it. And there, the product managers explain how the platform works. The thing is that we are not looking enough. You don't have to buy any course. You don't have to do all of these. You can learn it on your own. It is simple. Just follow the creator studio of that particular platform. They will explain what are the changes they have done in the algorithm, what is the right time to post for you. If you are creating text content, what should be your word limit? Is hashtag relevant, not relevant? Should you use it, not use it? How do you write for a certain type of audience? How do you how do you make your video interesting enough? The platforms, they teach it themselves. We don't look it enough. So just put how to on YouTube and learn it yourself. Don't pay anybody anything for this.
But in fact, if I may have to add to this, this is slightly tougher to understand for text-only platforms where I write, right? So I went across an advertisement which said that I've made millions of money just by organically posting on LinkedIn. So I took that guy's course, and that changed on the trajectory of my career because I learned copywriting from him. It was not just about LinkedIn, but about copywriting. So I learned copywriting from him and didn't apply anything else from what he said, and that later happened to be a big part of my career. I could understand finance, and I could break it down into a size of content piece which is readable for the audience. Like I knew what a hook was. I didn't know what a hook was. So I learned what to include in a hook, what is a CT and everything. Like how do you make people come back to your content again and again. So you eventually, if you have that kind of will, you'll eventually learn all these things and just start. So once you go back home and you know a very interesting content piece as a practicing chartered accountant, please write that, because I don't know, I do not practice. So I'll also learn something from you.
Thank you so much.
One more thing is, just a new thing. It's information that I want to share with you. All platforms have started their creator program.
Right.
Register for it. You will get the latest trend, blogs, steps to follow in your email box. Follow it. That's what all successful content creators also do, and later comes that they have teams now, they have professionals handling things for them, and they have a team that edit video for them. All that can come later. Again, again bringing back to the point, your motivation is not to become a content creator. You still want to be the qualified financial advisor. By the way, being on social media, making your personal brand is just that my trust on you and your discoverability for me will increase. So let us not forget that also.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah.
So, hi Manish, hi Kanan. Myself CA Rishin Dalmia. I'm a practicing CA. So majorly I make content on LinkedIn. So my question is how important it is to pivot your content, or is it important also to pivot your content? For example, अगर नहीं चल रहा है, तो how do you change your content, और करना भी चाहिए कि नहीं? So that is my primary question.
I mean, वो चलाना क्यों है is my question.
चलाना as in मतलब एक acceptance चाहिए कि audience को चाहिए कि नहीं अपना content. So what is your take on that?
He's saying basically, should I pivot my content if it is not working? So even if I'm creating relevant content and what I think is relevant, but the audience doesn't seem to care about it.
Oh, that's a nice question. What I would like to say is maybe look into the way you are writing it. Maybe the way you are writing is not interesting enough. What Kanan was just sharing, right? That hook, being creative with your copywriting, maybe changing the color of carousel post that you're doing. All this can help also. When you say pivot, I'm not able to fathom कि pivot करके क्या करोगे? मतलब डांस के बारे में लिखोगे क्या? मतलब आप फाइनेंशियल पर्सन हो, आप सीए हो, तो आप फाइनेंस के वर्ल्ड की ही चीजें लिखोगे ना, उसके अलावा टेक्सटाइल इंडस्ट्री थोड़ी लिखने लगोगे. तो पिवट का मतलब मेरे लिए वो है कि आपने अपना फील्ड ही चेंज कर दिया, राइट? फील्ड तो नहीं चेंज करोगे आप. तो मे बी यू नीड टू ट्वीक द वे यू आर राइटिंग. Maybe kind of, change the look and feel of your content. Try and see if the timing is working. If the timing is not working, change the timing. Do all of that, right? Your pivot has to be defined properly. Otherwise, it will be a very vague statement for me to make. हाँ pivot कर दो, change कर दो. मतलब आज आप मान लो कि टैक्स के बारे में लिख रहे हो, तो कल आप मतलब why airline industry does not make money वो लिखने लगोगे, तो आपका trajectory change हो जाएगा, you know. And then I will not know what to take from you. Like, why should I follow you? For what particular thing should I follow you? Right? एक होता है ना वो general physician, उसके बाद specialist आते हैं. You decide what you want to be.
Thank you.
Can I ask one?
Yeah. Okay.
Hi, Manish.
Hi.
Hi, Kanan. Tanya this side. I'm a business journalist. First of all, absolutely wonderful session. So since we are talking about personal branding, I would like to ask you that how to really build a strong brand, because as Kanan was saying that there are lots of content creators right now. So how to really build a strong brand, and also if you could talk to us about some common mistakes one should avoid while building the brand.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So first of all, with the same mindset, I did not start content creation, and there were many people who had 100,000, more than 100,000 followers, and if they would write about something, my content wouldn't work even if I posted 3-4 days before them. So never let that psychology stop you from creating content. Of course, the first mistake that we all make is having this misconception, and the first year is very painful. And after that, if you are creating relevant content which is useful for the world to get educated from, it's definitely going to work. Like that's been my experience. For someone, it might take 6 months. For someone, it might take 12 months. For someone, it might take 24 to 36 months, but it will definitely work. That's what my sense is. And don't get demotivated if someone is not creating so relevant content and, not that good quality content, and they are working, but understand their shelf life is not going to be very great. So if you want to create very relevant content, have patience. That's the only thing I would want to say. And if you may add, please.
Yeah, I mean, one of the most underrated hack of being a nice content creator is by participating in conversation, right? You necessarily don't have to create content yourself every day. If you don't have a thought one day, it's okay. You don't have to put pressure to create a thought to put it out there because आज मैंने tweet नहीं किया, मेरे को लोग भूल जाएंगे. ऐसा नहीं होता. Participate in discussions, right? I mean, you think somebody has written something irrelevant, please take your stance and try and kind of, I'm not saying that start a banter. I'm just saying that put your point, say that this is my humble opinion and this is what I think, and what you said, these couple of things don't make sense to me, and this is what I want to express myself, and see how it goes, right? The idea is to kind of make sense on the platform and not be a bully and not do all of that. However, if you start speaking in any way, people will notice you and they will find relevance and they will start kind of, looking forward to your thoughts, your comment, your content. And they will tell you that, hey, you replied this in such a nice way. Why don't you put it on your wall? And that is how you start, right? For example, I'll tell you my own thing, right? When I was on Twitter, when I started Twitter, it was long back, 2010 or 11, right? I didn't know anything. And at that time, there were not many Indians who were creating a lot of content or writing on Twitter. So I used to just go and reply on, sports people's tweets, right? I have just replied some, I'm sure Nadal's team must have put their tweet, but I've replied something. I've replied on Barack Obama embraced Twitter very nicely, and that was a trickle. It became a phenomena that world leaders in politics started embracing Twitter. And I used to go and just reply, who cares, right? I mean, kaun sa Barack Obama mere ghar aane wala hai? It's like that. So that is how I started, and then slowly, when I excelled in my job, and when people started saying that, no, you do social media nicely, tumko aata hai. And then, I started then writing then I got stuck to my field. And now I sometimes take a leeway to deviate from my field and, write some crap also. And people take that also is because, it's coming from a position of authority that You know, 10 tweets have taught them, so one tweet I can just make a joke on something and move on, right?
And any mistakes that one should avoid, I mean, according to you?
Sorry?
Mistakes you can avoid.
Do not get into political discussions. That's a rabbit hole. Don't call people out for no reason. Don't be a foul person. Few more things is, don't be abusive. Do not speak on religion. If you are doing all this, do not do scam. Don't try to be somebody who you are not. You are a financial advisor. Don't give me advice कि दूध में हल्दी क्यों मिलाना चाहिए. As simple as that, right? Stick to your subject. Be relevant. Speak your subject. Speak your mind. Stand true, and that's it.
Thank you.
Cool. All right. I think we're done. Yeah, we have one more there, if you allow.
We have questions, but we are shortly breaking for lunch, so maybe that's when we can take the questions.
You can catch up with me later outside also.
Yeah.
I'm going to be around.
Yeah, but this was such a wonderful, insightful session. Thank you so much. A big round of applause for the gentlemen here. May I invite Mohan Kumar, COO, One Finance, to please felicitate Manish and Karan. It was a masterclass of sorts. First for Karan. Don't worry, you'll get the one which has your name. Gentlemen, all right, ladies and gentlemen, with that, it's a wrap. But we do so with a renewed sense of purpose. The discussions today have established the power of collaboration, the importance of responsible financial planning, the need for awareness, education for financial planning, and how you can play a big role in pivoting your content, leveraging on your expertise. Let us carry forward the knowledge, the conversations, and the connections. May you all have a wonderful journey ahead. Thank you for being part of this summit. The lunch is open now for networking and for also hounding all the speakers that were here. Thank you so much for being a lovely audience. Thank you.